Greetings, weary traveler, come, warm yourself by the fire, and let us regale you with mighty tales, tales of adventure, tales of heroism, and of course, Tales of Tamriel. I'm your host, Arkhaniir, and we have a full house today. Starting with, of course, as always, LotusOfDoom. How's it going, Lotus?
It's going pretty well,
That is, well, good to hear, as always. And we have a returning guest, the hyper side of the show, HyperPixie. How's it going, Pixie?
Going great.
And the highlight of this episode, hailing from Cyrodiil in representation of the Empire, Casual Ranger himself. How's it going, Ranger?
Cheers, Ark. It's going great. How are you?
Doing good, doing it. It's great to have you on the show, and it's great to finally talk to you, like, in person. And, well, not in person, but as in person as it can get at this point.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, it's great. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you making the time, man. It's really great. And we have a lot to talk about on a lot of subjects. So I'm gonna actually go into it right away, because we don't have too many news, but we do have a bunch of speculations to do and discussions to have. So in terms of news, we have the ESO's performance improvements plan, well, at least an updated article on it, and there's actually one bit that I want to remind everyone, and that is that with update 25, we will all most likely have to download the entire game from scratch. Just as a reminder to prepare everybody, this will be in Q1 of 2020, and it'll be a massive download. So keep your bandwidths ready, hard drives ready, and yeah, don't forget to leave it overnight to play once the update 25 hits. That is
Sounds like
be...
it's gonna be worth it, though.
Well, yes. I mean, hopefully, because when you do a full rework like this, it can be great, but it can also go very, very wrong. So we'll see.
So, just for one note, I mean, granted, this is on the console side of things, so PC is likely to be different, but I recently got a second PlayStation. I got a PlayStation Pro just because our Blu-ray player broke downstairs. So I was like, well, you can just get a new one. Or I can get a better PlayStation, and I'll just put this old one downstairs, which is exactly what I did. And as a result, I was like, oh boy, I need to reinstall everything. So one of the things I did reinstall was I had to reinstall from scratch, which is kind of weird since we're going to have to do it again soon, but I put ESO back on and had to get the download. And on PlayStation 4, at least, it only took 5.5 hours, which...
Only?
Which is, you know, whatever. I think on PlayStation it's 118 gigs or something like that. So that wasn't... To be fair, I was surprised I got home from work and it was done. In all honesty, I was expecting it to still be going. I was like, oh, wait, I can play? That's not so bad. So,
well, what's your download speed?
280.
Yeah, mine is 25 megabits per second. So,
right, so you'll be there for a while. But
yeah, it is going to take a while.
All right.
Ouch.
Just ballparking areas. So.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna leave it overnight and then go to work, and then probably go to work again, and I'll be like, yep, I can play.
Yep. Also, just because it's how it usually is, for some reason, when your voice goes up, occasionally you peak and crack on my end now.
Oh, okay, yeah, let me just...
I don't know if that's just me, or if it sounds normal to everybody else.
I'm hearing it that way a little bit, too.
I can hear it, too, yeah.
You can hear it, too? Okay, so,
I
surprise, Ark, your mic's being... Well, either your mic, your internet, or something.
I turned the knobs off magic, and hopefully it will no longer do the curse thing.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's not terrible, but I figured I would at least give you a heads up.
Yeah, that is useful, yeah. I don't know, it's... happens. Sometimes happens,
it's the magic of
don't.
Discord.
Yeah.
And 8,000 miles.
This time it may have been like the magic knob was turned too much to the right, so it was doing the magic audio curse.
Yep, too much knob that time.
But yeah, I mean, the last time someone tried to completely overhaul something in Tamriel, it caused the plane mold and everything like that, thanks to Vernaclorius and his attempt at refiring the... What was he trying to do? Was he trying to make himself Dragonborn?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, so
Got
yeah,
a little greedy
hopefully
there.
this will go better than Varen's attempt at restarting the Raman Empire. So,
But everything he did up before that was amazing. So,
well, I suppose,
saying.
yeah. I mean, Longhouse Emperors, they were not my favorites, but
no,
you know,
nobody's favorite.
I guess his intentions were good. So,
I mean, everything was good, like the spark of the rebellion, and unseating the Longhouse Emperors. That was all good, and then he got a little power hungry.
Yeah, a little corruption.
Yeah, which but you can't. He righted his wrongs.
maybe even. I mean, it's mostly not even Varen's fault. More like Manny Marco just tricked him. I mean, why would you trust a high elf in the first place? That is on Varen.
I mean, I would trust the queen to take me anywhere, but I mean, Manny Marco is a little sketchy. So you should have been weary of him.
Any
least.
high elf in this, I'd say any high elf at this point is sketchy.
Yeah, it really can't be trusted.
Yeah.
Not at all.
No.
They are too tall and too pointy-eared and too yellow to be trusted. They are.
I feel alone.
Well, to be fair, as much of a Ebonheart Pact fan and everything as I am, the one thing that I originally kind of needed to bring up was when I play Skyrim, there's only one choice, and Skyrim is not for the Nords, it's for the Imperials. So luckily, I'm on board with Ranger with that, so I've got more backup than usual, because those Stormcloaks suck.
I agree with you, actually. So you're not alone on two fronts.
Man, this is wonderful.
One day, I'll actually bring someone on the show that will support me for a change on some matters. But apparently it is not this day.
Nah.
I mean...
Now, I will say my first Skyrim playthrough, I did go Stormcloaks, and I realized that was a horrible mistake. And then the next playthrough I went Imperials.
I mean, I'll be honest, if I was really in the situation of the Skyrim Civil War, I would probably just stay out of it, because... I mean, I accept the Empire's... that the Empire is necessary. It's gotta survive, and it's gotta have presence in all, I forgot the word. Areas? Places?
Provinces?
Provinces, yes.
Yeah.
But whenever I tried to go Imperial, every single time, and I tried to play the Imperial side of the Civil War. Every time, at that last moment when the choice comes up, I was like, no, I can't do it. And I just went for Stormcloaks once again. It's just, I can't. I tried to be more reasonable, but the Nord in me just overpowered. It is what it is.
Yeah, but you can be a Nord. You can be a Nord loyal to the Empire. That's
not the Empire who signed the White Gold Concordat. You gotta die before you sign something like that.
I don't want to go down the White Gold Concordat rabbit hole. But I could be here all night talking about why that was.
Strap yourselves in. That was
essential. It was essential for the Empire's survival.
Well, I mean,
to put it short, TLDR, it was essential for the Empire's survival and for the welfare of the rest of Tamriel, in my opinion.
I mean, I want to argue,
wrong.
But I know you are right. So
yeah,
I can.
You're not wrong, despite the fact that it pains me that you're not wrong.
Yes.
You know why, though? It's just because the High Elves just came in and kicked ass, and maybe they should have just gotten a little bit better.
look.
I mean, you're not wrong in saying that. It's,
yeah,
it came to the point
I'm just
where
a horrible
it's like,
person. I get it.
Yes, that's the problem. You shouldn't support these types of things.
Yeah, but it came to the point where it's like, all right, we need to figure something out so we can muster strength and be able to come back.
Right, you can't
Right.
bide your time if you're constantly in war.
And their dirtiest part about it was how they did the red guards. That sucked. But
yeah, that's.
Wait, what about the red? What did they do with the red guards?
in the white gold concordex, so they it basically, without looking at any references right now, just going off the top of my head, it conceded some of Hammerfell to the Dominion.
Oh.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I think it was like the bottom half, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a part. It was a part of Hammerfell was conceded to the Dominion in the Concordat, and the Red Guards were like, "Whoa, no, you're not going to do that to us." So that pissed them off, which I think was kind of dirty.
Which I think will also be the sort of one of the main story points in Elder Scrolls 6. If they if they don't do a full time skip, but
right.
Because right up until Elder Scrolls 5, Skyrim, the entire Elder Scrolls series took part in like within the span of 30, 40 years, something like that. So I guess we could see the Hammerfell side of the post Skyrim times.
Also, I will concede that 4th era of Dominion are kind of jerks.
They are.
It's just the 2nd era Dominion that I really like.
Yeah, no. I'll say this: 2nd era Dominion is who my Imperial sides with.
Yes.
Really?
I
Especially,
won one over, guys.
Especially, honestly, but I wasn't like that before. But after playing through Elsewhere and Dragonhold, like, I'm totally on the Dominion side. Especially only because, not only because, but especially because the spoilers. Can we do spoilers on here?
Yes.
We good?
Yeah.
At this point,
Okay.
there's nothing we have a spoiler curtain on, I believe.
Okay, so the Cygnus in Elsewhere, the Cygnus Irregulars, that was probably my favorite part of Elsewhere for obvious reasons. But they basically swore fealty to Queen Chimera, who in turn, by proxy, she has sworn fealty to Queen Irene. So I was like, all right, that's cool. They're Dominion. It's cool. It works. And then when you get to Dragonhold and Southern Elsewhere, the Shields of Senchal, formerly the 13th Legion, who were loyal to Varen, which my main character is the backstory that I have for him. He was a staunch supporter of Varen and his rebellion. So I was like, all right, these are my people. But they basically, it depends on what you choose in your quest dialogue, but I choose where I convinced the Shields of Senchal to side with the Dominion and Queen Chimera. So at the end of all that, I was like, all right, yeah, my Imperial supports the Dominion as well. So,
well,
I'm not alone anymore.
That makes
this
me
makes
upset.
me feel lovely.
Yeah, I actually I had to make the same choice as well, as opposed to sending them back.
What?
I had them because it seemed like kind of a fruitless cause to send them back. It seemed like a waste of
and
good military in a region that needed that type of stability, as opposed to sending them back to the disaster that's currently going on in the center of the continent. You know what I mean?
They wouldn't have survived there anyway. They got they have no allies.
You'd just be
up
like,
there.
okay, yeah, congrats guys, you did a great job. Now go,
So think about it now. By the end of the Season of the Dragon, if you choose those, you have a formidable Imperial force between the Cygnus Irregulars and the Shields of Senchal mustered in Elsewhere, or in Dominion territory. So to me, it was the obvious choice.
I mean, I just want to say, what you guys are saying makes sense and all, but we don't do sensible things here. No. As long as they're if it favors,
we don't
if
do
it's
any of that.
sensible, but favors Dominion, then we don't do it. We do the unsensible thing that doesn't favor Dominion. That's how Tamriel should work. That is how... If it's not working like that, then I've been lied to. If I had known that sensible things did good things for the Dominion, then I would not have come here. Come on. I thought we had established this. I gotta speak to the lore masters and correct some stuff. I think they're wrong. I think they got something wrong.
Doesn't the lore master really like Argonians, which is also not really your thing too?
Yeah, that's the fact.
He's an Argonian fan, yes.
Yeah, he was big in favor of that. Big. I don't remember who posted it.
Lore Seekers, I think. Was
it Lore Seekers? Whoever responded with the giant Argonian, just like Argonian master race or whatever. Yeah, and he was all about that. I was like, oh boy, it's like so much Argonian love.
Well, I mean, you know how the saying goes. Hippity hoppity, Argonians are property. So... sorry, Lemon Turtle or Lemon Turtle. I still am not sure how to pronounce the name. But that's the saying. It's not...
It's true. It's canon.
Yeah.
The canon statement.
So the apparently, okay, I'll mention this. Apparently, I'm very robotic on Discord. However, the chat says that I'm sounding good.
You sound okay. Okay.
So I think it's just Discord, hopefully. Okay. But if it becomes that you guys can't understand, then I'll try to fix it. But as long as the chat says it's okay, I'm gonna keep going.
Also,
you are sharing something on Discord, but I can't look. Hold on, I need to see it on my phone.
I couldn't resist.
Oh man, Ark, check the Discord again for some behind the scenes.
Video of Ark IRL right now.
Yeah. So, okay, so it does sound normal to you guys. Perfect. Yeah, so for our audio listeners, just to clue everybody in, and actually everybody not on Discord, we want to keep you in the loop. There is a fantastic GIF of RoboCop having a stroke for our description of Ark, at least on our end.
I mean, I guess it was too much this time for Discord connecting all of us, but apparently I'm good on stream, so I just think it's the
I was going to say,
Discord
people
call.
have confirmed you're good on stream, so that's fine. I mean, whatever. The idea is to just have the best audio quality possible. I just didn't want it to be weird enough of us just not bring it up, because I can still understand you fine, even with the low body stuff on.
Sure.
I mean,
it's fine.
We can try to restart the call. Like last time. But last time we did
I was going to say, we all know what happened last time we restarted the call. You basically lost a computer. And
it's not that bothersome to me.
Panic and immediately try to fix it.
Okay, well we can go for with it for now then, and if it becomes unbearable, we'll figure something out.
Yeah.
And that said, my next topic in terms of news was the letter from Rich Lambert, the creative director of Elder Scrolls Online, talking about 2019 and Elder Scrolls Online. And I was planning to read it, but considering my voice is robotic, at least to Discord, I will not read it. And who does want to read it?
Why don't we have our resident Imperial join us? And I was going to say, I feel like doing a reading.
You want me to read it?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I got it pulled up.
Yeah,
so.
I was going to say. Why not?
So you just want me to read the whole thing?
Sure, yeah. I mean, when it's a letter,
it's not.
I like to just read the
super long.
entire thing, yeah.
No, it's not that bad.
Yeah, I was going to say.
All right. So the letter from Creative Director's Letter 2019 Retrospective. That's the one you guys are talking about, right?
Yes.
That is the one.
Yeah, okay, so as 2019 comes to a close, it's hard to believe the end of the year is already here. It's been a crazy, busy time for the team, and it's been one of the biggest, most challenging years for the Elder Scrolls Online 2. I want to start off with a massive thank you to the team at ZOS for their hard work in 2019. Every year, a lot is asked of the team, but they always find a way to deliver. 4 major releases over the course of 2019 is mind-boggling, and it's something that no other studios do. Thank you for everything. As it was our 5-year anniversary, we wanted 2019 to be big and memorable. It featured a massive year-long adventure that focused on the homeland of the Khajiit dragons and the new Necromancer class. This was the first time we've combined all the year's releases, Wrathstone, Elsewhere, Scalebreaker, and Dragonhold, into a single continuous narrative, and we're thrilled with all of the positive reactions to it. Of course, this year was also filled with its fair share of challenges too. We're still working to resolve some of the performance issues that have been plaguing you for too long. While we've made some strides in some areas, we've made some missteps as well. The performance roadmap we shared in July this year was a good step towards showing how committed we are to improving things. We'll continue to focus on performance in the coming year, and we'll keep the roadmap updated monthly to ensure you are all in the loop. One thing that has remained consistent and unwavering over all these years is our community. Your support of us has been amazing, and this year is yet another example of how great and determined our community really is. Back in January, we challenged you to show up in force for the Elsewhere announcement and get at least 90,000 viewers on the stream. If we hit that, I committed to getting my first ever tattoo. It took all of 3 minutes to crush the viewer goal. I watched that.
That was hilarious.
Yeah. It took all of 3 minutes to reach 90,000 viewers. It's crazy. Which resulted in this, and then there's a video of him getting the tattoo. Another great example of our community's passion was with the Slay Dragons Save Cats charity campaign, which recently wrapped up. In just under 2.5 months, you all managed to slaughter over 1 million dragons and raise thousands via charity streams, resulting in well over 220,000 donated for animal welfare. Unbelievably, it was remarkable just what this community can do when it works together. Without your passion and dedication, we wouldn't be where we are today. Thank you. In 2020, we have lots of exciting things planned. We will be doing even more community events than we have previously, starting early January for our next chapter announcement stream. That announcement will be hosted in Las Vegas with the community on January 16th, and we plan to talk more about exactly what the Dark Heart of Skyrim means after the tease at the Game Awards. It's going to be a big event and a fun stream, and we can't wait to see you all there. Rich.
Well, I mean, pretty much all of us from Tales in this group will be going to Vegas, with just one exception. Guess who?
Arkhaniir.
Even technically, even Arkhaniir will be there.
That's true.
True, very true.
I'll log him in while I'm there, so then even
Sounds
you'll
good.
be there in spirit.
Man.
So one thing I liked about this letter is it's very humbling.
Yes.
And what I love, what I love about the team is they admit their shortcomings.
Yes.
Yep.
And me personally, I would have never said, "Hey, there were shortcomings," but I'm a bit of a shill. But the amount of courage to admit, like, hey, we had some shortcomings this year. That's what that's what really spoke to me about this letter.
Well, how often do you ever hear a company or people representing it ever? I mean, even when they have self-deprecating humor, like over 76 and stuff like that, it's always spun in a way that's like, oh, but also there's millions of players and blah, blah, blah. They literally just kind of straight bring up, some of this stuff didn't work.
Yeah.
And that's very, very unusual from a PR standpoint, that they're actually willing to be that. That's very interesting that they do that.
But that's what I love is just the transparency that they have. It blows me away. And I tweeted about this the other day. Just the game's good. It keeps me coming back. But what really keeps me is the transparency and the devotion of the devs.
Yeah.
Especially with this plan that they've released too, like we know exactly what they're working on and what they're trying to do and how they're trying to do it, so we know they have a plan in place to make things better, especially on the PvP side. Like I don't notice, except for the huge issues that we had like during the Undaunted event, I don't really notice a lot of the lag and all of that I hear my friends on the PvP side over in Cyrodiil say like, yeah, the lag is bad, and like it's nice to know that they recognize this is a problem, they're owning it, and they have a plan in place to fix it, instead of just saying, yeah, we're gonna get it done, just trust us. Like we know what they're doing, and I feel like that's really nice and refreshing to have.
Yeah, like whenever other companies do mention their shortcomings or whatever, you can tell from the language that it's not written by the developers or lead people, but it's written by, I don't know, like the marketing department or PR department, whatever. They just But maybe this article was, edited or edited, but you can always go onto Twitter or whatever and just contact Rich Lambert directly, and he tells you the same thing. So it's not written by a PR person or whatever. You can actually talk to developers in person, and they take time to reply and everything. And I haven't seen that in any other community that I've been a part of. Like I can just go harass Mike Finnegan about the dungeons, and then he just tells me to get good most of the time. But I mean,
I will say, there's one time when I was struggling in a dungeon, and I posted about it on Twitter, and it was just my own fault. I just needed to get good. I was doing a blind vet run. That was my difficulty, was I just didn't know the mechanics. And Mike Finnegan actually reached out to me on Twitter and asked me which part actually was giving me so much trouble. Why did you die 69 times in Lair of Marsalak? Because that's a bit ridiculous. It was just, I just didn't get the hive mechanics down. And that was the issue. I beat it later, but the first time, and it was so cool that one of the developers, the guy who makes the dungeons, like reached out personally. So it's so cool that they're watching those ESO hashtags and they're paying attention to those things, and they are listening to our feedback and trying to help us out, trying to make things better.
I think at this point, Mike Finnegan and I have an understanding of not being nice to each other at all. Because one time I was like, I was dying constantly on the, oh god, which dungeon was it? With the Atronak and the Mage. Frost Atronak and the Goblin Mage. Was it Frostbolt?
Frostbolt.
Yeah. So I still don't know, by the way. I don't understand how the Atronak hits. Like, I know I'm outside of the area, but I just still get hit and die.
Well, that's why. You don't want to be outside it. You want to be inside the ring. Like, if you go too far out,
but
then you'll
not
be
in
out
the
in
cone.
the chilled.
Like, not in the red, but not outside the ring as well. Is that it?
Oh, okay. Yeah, so, there's there's the area you're trying to work with kind of shifts to be inside-outside from what I remember. I don't run Frostbolt too much. Pugging that tends to devolve into just madness when you get to the laser grid. So
it is my favorite.
Rarely do we even get to that point, but there's some areas where you want to. You've got to kind of watch your feet, because there's a kind of a narrow window where you want to be in between, from what I remember in that fight. Because if you go too far out, you get caught in that, I don't know, snowstorm or whatever the hell it is that's out there. And that'll destroy you. But if you stand in front of them, you're just going to get turned into a chunk of ice and get wrecked, too.
Right. So you gotta basically stop existing. I eventually kind of figured it out, but at the time, I was like, my muscle reflex was making me just dodge roll out of it, and I get killed, and I dodge roll out of it, and I get killed. I'm like, is this lag, whatever? I took a clip, and I basically, like, tagged Mike Finnegan, like, is this a bug, or what am I missing? And he was like, yeah, you are just missing it, just get good. And I was, okay, I once got, it wasn't from Mike Finnegan, but it was directly from Elder Scrolls Online's Twitter account. They basically called me a noob in Battlegrounds.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, it was about champion points.
Yep.
I was like, I was basically whining about the champion points in Battlegrounds because I wasn't full champion points. and I was mentioning I wish the no champion point battlegrounds returned and everything like that, and they just replied with, yeah, they are back now, you can actually play, or something like that. I was like, wow.
Oh, ouch.
Just got told by the company itself. So yeah, they are indeed really open, and they don't hold back when it comes to telling you get good.
So am I the only one they're nice to then?
Well, when I actually first talked to Mike Vinnigan, actually, I don't even think, since we keep this PG, I can't actually even say what he first said to me related to me constantly posting about doing all his dungeons on Vet without a healer. Before that was like the
that's
standard.
Your own fault.
Yeah, but yeah, so he had some pretty hilarious choice words before handing me a beer. So that was my first interaction with him from what I remember. But no, just to like kind of echo some of the things mentioned in chat, because I'm in a similar situation where, although because I absolutely do appreciate the roadmap going forward, and I am hardly one of the people who falls apart at the seams if oh, you're doing emergency maintenance because something's wrong. Well, I'm not going to bring up the like, oh, well, I only have 5 minutes to play this week and you chose maintenance, so I'm going to cry. It's like, all right, yes, you the only time you can ever play is exactly this time that they're doing maintenance. Yes, Twitter warriors. But to the degree of performance overall, there are definitely some lingering things that I hope when they're done, and that's the big thing, which people have been noting, is hopefully the patience pays off, because I think it will in the end. It's a little rough that their first one that they had really hoped would make things better for us caused such a mess. Now, obviously, that was in no way what they were going for. They obviously were hoping that would make the Undaunted event super useful finally, and that was what everybody wanted. You can't predict something like that when it goes to live servers, obviously. I mean, it's not even a simple thing of you need more QA. You literally need to release it to get it QA.
Yeah.
You can't QA that.
You can't hire 2 million QA people.
Exactly. It doesn't work like that. But just kind of to at least bring up the fact, because I like doing rather challenging stuff mixed between doing nice casual stuff, questing, fishing, stuff like that. I have personally needed to kind of ease up, at least on the console side. I don't know if it's the same for Xbox, but some of the... I'm very curious how the install will go, because I guess to get to my point is some of the issues that have been somewhat long-standing for us on console have kind of started to get even worse, it seems. Simple things like bar swapping or whatever, we lose no-death runs to literally just not being able to swap bars.
Oh,
and
that's harsh.
Definitely can wear on people. And I think that's why some people might have a degree of frustration. It's just the lingering things of stuff like that. So I have really high hopes that when they're done, it'll iron some of those things out, because they've mentioned frame rate improvement several times. And I think that, to a degree, has something to do with some of the bar swapping issues. Because if you're missing frames and you input a command during a frame that skips, it would lead me to believe, I'm not a programmer, that it would skip the input of having that happen. So I'm hoping that this stuff does work. And I've said a couple times that at this point, I would like luck to be on their side, because they should bet on the lottery, because every time they do anything, they find a new problem that rears its head from whatever spaghetti code they are working with. Just by random chance, they're going to release something, and they're not going to find some bizarre bug, and it's just going to work, because that's what they keep trying to do. So I would just like to see them have something go through and not give them a headache for a change, because they would... I think they're right on the cusp of another boom of players if people don't come in and get frustrated. Because if they come in and they're happy with it, and you don't hear the vets complaining about whatever it is they're complaining about, I think they have the potential of really, like, the game is big. The game has the potential to be really, really big. If they nail that.
If you put a Skyrim tag on this next release, it's going to bring a lot of people in.
That's
a lot.
Which makes me hopeful that they have the confidence that this is going to be fixed, because when everybody shows up for Skyrim, if you have the same type of fun the first time everybody did when they stepped into Skyrim, which by no means was flawless with you backwards flying dragons and you levitating mammoths, it doesn't matter when it's goofy. It's just you don't want people to get frustrated.
Right.
I do notice that a lot of the performance stuff, like, I don't see a lot of the stuff that you guys talk about on PC. It's like on PC, everybody's like, everybody's complaining. I'm like, well, I don't have any of these issues. Then I have to think, well, I'm on PC, and I have to look, okay, most of these people are on consoles. So.
Yes.
So PC North American
I have
Mega
to
Server.
separate myself and look at it like that.
Yeah.
Right. And
PC North American Mega Server is the most stable one, I think. And PC European Mega Server is as bad as the consoles. It's just not stable at all. I mean, people have been crashing, not able to log in, infinite loading screens. It got better in the last couple of weeks, but it's been a disaster, and it's been a disaster for a long time. Which is why, well, most of the people I played in EU with kind of quit at the point, or rather took a break, I guess, until things stabilize.
Sure.
But definitely, yeah, there are problems, and there will be problems. I don't think, like, if you went through the entire backlog of patch notes for every massive multiplayer game out there, you will not see a message of anything that, like, you will not see a patch note without fixed bugs, this and this and this. There will always at least some sort of bugs, and it is the way it is. It's an utopia that you can release something without any bugs. I mean, I haven't seen it yet, but I don't think it exists. There will be
I come
something.
from the perspective of I'm previous consoles. I started on Xbox, then moved to PS4, and now I'm on PC. And PC NA at least is way more stable than the other two platforms I've played on.
Yes.
I have almost, other than the Undaunted event, I have almost no issues with the game. So during all of New Life, and I'm seeing people in chat agreeing who are on PC, New Life has been incredibly smooth. The worst I've had is at the Kindsgrove Way Shrine. I've had a couple frame drops, like just not even
which is totally
bad.
Understandable.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not even complaining about that. But that's the worst it's been during this entire event. No crashes. Everything has been amazing. Haven't had any issues logging in. During Undaunted, we all had issues, and hopefully that was just the group finder thing, and hopefully that's going to be fixed next month. But on PS4, I remember, so Ranger was talking about or maybe it was Lotus, was talking about the bar swap bug.
Yeah.
I think it was Lotus. So I remember being in the middle of a vet dungeon on PS4 and not, as the healer, not being able to swap to my resto staff. And that was real bad. Not a fun time. So I remember I would actually have backup heals on my other bar to try to help. But then sometimes it just also wouldn't let you heavy attack. And it's like, oh no, where are my resources? And I also can't loot things. And so that kind of sucks. So I totally hear you over there.
Right. And that's kind of what it is. It's like, it's, you know, to the note of that, the PS4 and the Xbox One, they're pretty antiquated units at this point.
Right.
Like if that was a comparable PC, you're essentially running this game on a relic. Like,
Yeah.
So to
On
a degree,
Potat.
Seriously. So I do get it, and like, I would. Again, I you know, myself along with many have championed, like, oh man, crossplay would be lovely. But in a vein that Destiny 2 did, if they give me cross saves so that I can bring my character, I will totally go to PC because my PC can now run this. If I was allowed to kind of jump between or whatever, but just like they very well are doing the most they can with consoles, and that's why it is kind of interesting because it does very much seem like we almost all have our own issues, and sometimes they overlap, but it's not even always. So it's like, I can't imagine from a development point so you have 2 console servers, North America and EU, for both consoles, and then you have the PC. So you're essentially running 6 mega servers. They haven't even jumped on with the Stadia one yet. It's like, that is a lot of platforms to try to juggle and make all work. So,
I mean, I've never made a game, but I'm a front-end dev, and just trying to deal with multiple browsers makes me want to throw things sometimes. So I can't imagine what they go through. So I honestly just want to hug the entire dev team for how much work they're putting in to try to make this work for us. And I felt awful for them whenever Undaunted didn't work. Like, of course I was disappointed that I couldn't do my favorite event, but I really just wanted to give them all big group hugs because I just really felt for them from a developer standpoint. That had to be rough. Yep. I can't even imagine how they felt about it.
Right.
I mean, I work for like a mobile game company, and if you scale it with a MMORPG like Elder Scrolls Online, it would be like an Alfig next to a dragon. So, but even then, when something goes wrong, and they do go wrong, it's like all hands on deck. You are there on the weekend. You are sitting in the office at 3 a.m. hoping that nothing breaks while you wait approval for the build you just sent. It's like, please work so we can go home. And as I said, it's like an Alfig next to a dragon. So when something breaks in a game like Elder Scrolls Online, it's massive, and they break bad. I mean, one time we had to merge servers without going into too much detail. The IDs on one server basically swallowed the IDs on the other server because the thing that was supposed to not merge unique IDs basically generate more unique IDs because you have unique IDs A, B, C, D, whatever on server A, and then you have unique IDs A, B, C, D, whatever on server B because they are separate servers. But then you merge these servers, and all those unique IDs get merged as well, swallowing one side. So now you have lost the data of an entire server. So yeah, not fun stuff happens, and this is also probably why we will never get cross save, by the way, because they probably have unique IDs for everyone on each mega server, but those unique IDs are unique to the server. So if they try to merge it, they will have to generate, God knows, I don't know.
Right.
Fun times.
Yeah.
Very fun.
Very fun.
And they're super hardworking. I mean, everybody knows that.
That's
but
the
like,
thing.
I honestly didn't realize till I went there, till I went to the studio, and just this, it's one thing to see a car drive in front of you, but to like see how the engine works and everything, it's different. And I mean, it's nothing but passion there at the studio, and I was blown away for the 4 or 5 days that I got to spend there, and they really do love it, and they pour their heart and soul into it, and it obviously shows with how the communication that we have, at least on the Twitterverse alone. It just really shows that they really do enjoy what they do.
I have a question. So you visited the ZeniMax Online, right? The headquarters.
Yes.
Did you also see like the development environment as well, or just like, hey, you are gonna hang out in this part of the office where it's marketing and PR, whatever?
So we got to go through most of it. I mean, there was some stuff that some places that were, I guess, off limits, or if we were gonna go through there, they had to close up what they were working on and stuff.
That is fancy.
and things like
That's
that.
so awesome.
We got to see a pretty much a good chunk of it. You know, we got to see the QA spot. We got to see the kind of like the 24-hour center where they got, you know, because they got someone at the studio 24 hours in case
that makes
something
sense.
breaks at 2 in the morning. You know, they got someone monitoring the servers and stuff. But no, we got to see a pretty good chunk of it. You know.
I mean,
but they're still pretty. They keep a pretty tight ship. So
yeah. I mean, it makes sense that they do. But I wanted to follow some of the actual developers, like the guys who get in dirty with the code and everything on Twitter or wherever. But I just never... I can't find them. Either they are not on Twitter or they're not allowed to go on Twitter. And I was like, wait, are there actually developers there? Where are they? I actually asked Zos about this. Like, I sent a message to them, like, where are the developers and can we follow them? They never even replied. Even though they replied to everything, they just didn't reply to that specific question.
They're kept in a dungeon where they're working on the group finder.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. Like, if they had to close what they were doing, even when there were, like, the group was visiting the headquarters, I would understand why they wouldn't be also publicly like, hey, I'm a developer at ZeniMax Online, because most of the people we see who work on ZAS are like the lead, like a specific part of the group on Twitter. So that you have the lead group, lead community crew, and then you have Dominic, the editor, and then like I think I follow maybe 3 to 4 content creators as well. The in-game content creators, not the YouTube, Twitch kind of thing. But other than that, I just haven't been able to find anybody else.
Yeah, they're there. You just kind of got to dig around. I actually found 2 the other day just by digging around on Twitter.
Yeah, I know. Some of them are less public about it.
Yes.
Because occasionally they've tagged me. I'll actually have to go. I have to go through my list. Some people are like that have tagged me, like, oh, blah, 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 I've been tagged with stuff. And it's like, oh, you work at ZOS. I didn't realize that. It's like, oh, hello. Like,
yeah.
So.
Well, I'll have to ask the names after the show. Like, yeah. Tell me.
I've met people online who used to work at ZOS, who weren't like part of the lead team and everything. But yeah, you're right. Other than the senior team, I haven't really communicated with anybody from there who are kind of lower on the rungs in the dev team.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to message them good stuff whenever things break. Like, we get you. You're good.
Yes.
Don't worry about it.
Look
what I said, they just need hugs. Anytime something happened, I just want to give them all hugs. I feel them.
Yeah. So, I mean, we already kind of derailed entirely from the news part, but we
that
still
wasn't
have
as much of a derail. That was like both news things combined into one because we're just efficient.
Yeah, see, I like that better.
There we go.
I like that better. We do all of our sections in one section, so that this works from now on. That's what we are going with.
Efficiency.
Exactly, yeah. Although we do have one extra news about something we talked just last week about not having collector's editions, but having like individual items costing more because of the shipping. But that's not in the notes, so Lotus, you'll have to. Yeah.
So, just a side note, I actually will bring up the email itself. I don't know why I didn't do this before when we were just talking, and I could have been doing this before. But, so I was actually sent a message. I assume it's because they like me spending money there, which is fine, because I'll probably continue to do so, because I like their stuff. But, with my love of physical swag as opposed to, like, the digital goods that so many people like to spend their money on, well, mine's more spent on stuff I can tangibly touch a lot of the time. So I will purchase stuff, especially when they have good sales and stuff, from the Bethesda store. Well, they actually sent out a I guess you could call it a newsletter or something like that, but it's they sent a message. Sorry, still recovering from being sick to a degree. They are moving their distribution center is, and apparently who they have as a company who distributes, I guess you would put it. So as them and many companies always say, please give us your feedback and stuff like that. Well, apparently in terms of this, they have been listening to the feedback, which is pretty common, that their stuff is expensive and it's even more expensive to ship. So they are moving, and I believe it's Oregon is their new shipping place. But as a result of that, they've changed who they're using as a distributor as well. Yes, it does look like Oregon. Yep, the new warehouse is in Oregon. And then they are going to restock. So they've mentioned that they're going to be shipping delays. They're going to kind of have to stop stuff for a little bit while they shift. But the end goal implied by the newsletter and pretty much stated throughout is to directly address things being so expensive, things getting shipped out slow, which personally I haven't had any issue with. When I order something, as soon as it's available, they pretty much send it to me and it's there in like a day or two. But the idea is to bring costs down. So hopefully that means some of these things that people do like will be a little more affordable, because some of their stuff definitely is a little pricey. It's kind of reasonably priced when it goes on sale, but if everybody buys it and they sell out of it, well, then you're kind of out of luck. The only thing that I do like that they do with a lot of their products, there's specifically, currently they have a thing, I don't have it because I'm running out of wall space between all the football stuff and all the nerdy game stuff. I'm running out of walls in my game room here. They have this skybox thing from Skyrim, and what they do is from what I saw, is they outsource it to local artists, and that's why there's like a limited quantity of them.
Oh.
So they tend to be more expensive because they're basically crafted by local merchants, which I personally think is super cool.
That's nice,
cool.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
really like that. Side effect of doing that, it's not mass produced, so it takes more time to do, i.e. making it more expensive. And then you've got to wait, because if it's not a production company and it's like a local artist or even like a local art area or something, how many people do they really have making these things? So they're not going. So it's a trade-off. I get it to an extent, but I love the idea of high-quality stuff that's worth it. Also, to answer Bob Chickens in chat, I did have nasty glue on the back of my most recent Elder Scrolls coin that was sent to me. Add some lighter fluid to that, and it'll peel right off. That's what I did.
Which coin is that?
So it's the most recent one. It's the map of Tamriel, the Orbis. That's like your game map. That's on a coin, and on the back of it is the Ouroboros. It just came off pre-order.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it's like $19. It's not super expensive, but
so Oregon had, just to jump in real quick about the Oregon thing, because I was curious.
Froze.
They can't be taxed for shipping if they're shipping out of Oregon.
Really?
Oh.
Okay, that
makes a lot of
there's
sense.
some fine sleuthing, and that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. So I was curious, so I
Okay.
looked it up, and I'm pretty sure that's why, because they can't be taxed for shipping stuff.
Because they can't be taxed. I see.
Saving money.
Huh. Okay, that suddenly starts to make a lot more sense.
Bethesda doing the sneaky.
Yeah, little bit of sneaky.
Hey, whatever works.
That's how you play the game, I suppose. And if it's gonna get me my items, I like this change. Change.
Also, to shout out, thank you for the raid, Berserk Zod, to the live show, but an actual scale replica of the College of Winterhold for the physical collector's edition. Yep, I'm on board with that.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Bring it on.
I'll get it.
I will put that right in the middle of my living room.
Yep, I won't need my desk anymore. I'll just mount all my electronics on the College of Winterhold itself.
Do you think they're gonna go back to collector's edition, physical collector's edition
I
stuff?
hope
I
so.
would love it.
I really hope so.
My shelf misses the fact that there wasn't one last year. Like, I like what they did with the individualized ones. Like, that was cool. I feel like they basically kind of stepped up what they did with it, but at the same time, they split it out over. Just give it all to me in one. I like that. Like,
so I don't have any. Well, I have one of the collector's editions, but it's not because I bought it.
you got the Imperial edition, right?
I got
Is
the
that what you're
Imperial
referring to?
edition because someone on Twitter they're basically cleaning and downsizing their collection, and he was like, "Look, I don't want this, and it's the Imperial edition. I think you would love it." And I was like,
And
"Bro."
it's the best. It was the best collector's edition out of the three, at least in terms of like the items and box it came with.
That was intense. Because I've got one actually on my shelf back there too. I don't.
Mine
see
is
it, but
right there.
But,
you guys can't see it because I don't have my camera on Discord. But
that like leather bound thing in the middle where it's got your number that is an intense collector's edition. I was like, oh my god, this is gorgeous. Like
I'm keeping it all in the box. Just so I can look at it and says the fact that it says Imperial Edition. I'm just obviously I'm over the moon about it.
Yeah.
But he was like, you're the first person that came to mind. He's like, I'm cleaning out my office. I really don't need it. And I was like, dude, thank you so much. But I don't have any of the other collector's editions. What I do have is I collect the pops, the Elder Scrolls pops. So I was really disappointed. They did the pops for Elsewhere, but they didn't continue it.
Right.
So I was kind of bummed. I was hoping we would. Yeah,
so
I was hoping we'd get the Funko Pops for each chapter, but that was. Or they.
I love
a
Chimera.
Chimera would have made a good one.
Yeah.
Especially with the unrequited love of the internet for Chimera.
I want Chimera and Nafalar really bad.
Yeah.
And, okay, so as Bob in chat says, as opposed to selling a collector's edition for 120, they had like 4 items at 80. And see, plus shipping. So 1 item shipping is, I guess I was paying like 30, 40 bucks for collector's edition to ship here. But I also pay 30, 40 bucks for the other items ship here. So it's like 4 times the shipping plus 4 times the cost. So I haven't bought the latest ones because Elsewhere, honestly, Khajiits, I don't care all that much. But this is gonna be Skyrim. This is gonna be Skyrim. And I made impulse purchases a lot when it comes to these stuff. So I don't think I'll be able to stop myself from making ridiculously priced purchases in 2020 because of this. So hopefully collector's edition becomes a thing and I can make one ridiculously priced impulse purchase instead of several impulse purchases. So I do really hope. Also, a box of Skyrim Collector's Edition. It's gonna be Skyrim, but oh man, because I don't have the Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim Collector's Edition. Because at the time, I was in high school. I wasn't getting Collector's Editions, obviously. So I want a Skyrim Collector's Edition, whether it's Elder Scrolls Online or whatever. But I don't think they will return to that. Because they said they were they stopped doing it, and I don't think they'll just like, okay, we didn't like this model, let's go back.
The only thing though, I guess, that might sell them on it is, again, they do tend to do what a large portion of the vocal majority asks for. And I don't think anybody was like, yeah, I would rather you not do a collector's edition. Just because, like, because out the gate we were championing, like, we want a collector's edition, but we weren't alone. Like, everybody was like, we don't mind buying the game again if we get a cool collector's edition. That seemed pretty universal, so they might just do it for the sake of, they do seem to do stuff based on, like, okay, well, I guess people really want that, so maybe we'll just do that. Like, so who knows? But I do agree from a cost standpoint. I think they probably did make more doing this Because if
Yeah.
you bought all of the things, like a Wrathstone, a Horn of Jadari, the coins, whatever else they might have done that I'm not remembering, but whatever the case, it adds up to way, way more than if you just dropped whatever it was. Because to be fair, the collector's editions, at least in New England, the Imperial edition, I think, was $120. That was a long time ago. Morrowind was 80. No, Morrowind was 90. Somerset was actually only like 80. So they were like going down in price as well, which I thought was kind of strange.
Yep.
And then they just gutted the model and did the piecemeal thing anyway.
I mean, Somerset was a lot smaller box in term, like, compared to
much
Morrowind
smaller,
and
yes.
Imperial, yeah.
Very true.
So I guess that makes sense, but I really, really do want the collector's edition. Also, on an unrelated thing, I kind of want to mention this, because we haven't had a chance to talk about it. It's not Elder Scrolls related, it's actually about the new IP of ZeniMax Online. Because Zad mentioned, he was like, all the developers are at the new IP of ZeniMax Online. And so they've been looking for people to work on a new IP. I've been seeing the job postings on LinkedIn.
Commander Keen. I'm just kidding.
So it's a new AAA IP. And they have people working on it from veterans of Destiny, Red Dead Redemption, Shadow of Mordor, XCOM, Battlefield. And some people have been saying an Elder Scrolls Online-like Fallout MMORPG. So not like Fallout 76, but a more MMORPG instead of like a survival
and
whatever.
less.
And to me, it kind of made sense to me because they, like, looking at the list of the people who are working there, veterans, like Destiny, Battlefield, Red Dead Redemption,
looter shooters.
Yes.
Yep.
So,
That's the first thing I saw. When I saw the list of people who are going over there, I'm like, this is going to be a shoot 'em up, loot 'em up game for sure.
Which means I'm going to suck at it.
And like Ben Jones, creative director ZeniMax Online, which is not creative director for Elder Scrolls Online at the moment since it's Rich Lammert, but he's formerly EA DICE. You know, it's kind of feels like, yeah, a shooter MMORPG of sorts might be in the works, and I would enjoy it because shooters is pretty much my main game genre until RPGs, or rather Elder Scrolls, came along. But I just wanted to mention that because we haven't had a chance to talk about it yet, because there hasn't been many news, but since Zad in chat mentioned it, I was like, okay, let's kind of hear what you guys think about it as well. And I guess Ranger and I agree, and yeah.
It definitely makes sense. I just suck so bad at shooters that part of me hopes it's another medieval fantasy MMO, but I know that's unlikely since that would be like kind of in direct competition with Elder Scrolls Online, so it wouldn't make sense for them to do that as much as I would want that.
Turns out it's Starfield Online before Starfield launches.
It just works.
That would be interesting.
It just works.
It just works.
Radiant AI. Oh, Todd Howard, you did it again. Again, Skyrim. Honestly,
I was about to say Skyrim Online. It's kind of what's coming, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and they have to start the new chapter, the Skyrim chapter, with us in a cart, escorted by Imperial guards. That has to happen.
Yes.
Oh man,
ZeniMax.
yes, that's.
If you don't
Absolutely.
do this, you will miss the opportunity of the company's lifetime.
I mean, think about it. Do you remember in Morrowind when you started in Morrowind where you were at?
Oh my god, I loved that you started on the docks. That was
You started on the docks in the boat. Like I was like, oh, okay, like
that
was great.
so great.
So
Yes.
I think they're gonna do something very similar. Just based on the fact that you started in the boat at the docks at was it Cyrodiil?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
small-
it's to a T. So I think they'll do the same with Skyrim. coming
Also,
through the Pale Pass down towards Helgen, maybe.
Yes. If they don't have any arrow in the knee jokes the entire time, I will be thoroughly disappointed.
I mean, honestly,
they have to, because if you have played Arena, there's jokes to Arena in Elder Scrolls Online.
Really?
Once I found that, when I found the Shadow Key reference, I was like, okay, I give up. You guys literally have made reference to the most abstract thing that me and 9 other people played. I was like, I don't. If you made a reference to a star tooth, sure, man, you win. I'm not anybody. And the limited arguments against lore when you have goofy ass stuff like that in there is like, okay, I mean,
the Ebonheart Pact main quest takes a jab at Whiterun.
Yes.
It's like one of the NPCs is like, it's as easy as becoming the Jarl of Whiterun or the Thane of Whiterun, because that's obviously the easiest thing to do in game is become the Thane of Whiterun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, you saved us. Guess you're Thane.
He said you should try to be the Thane of Whiterun. They let anybody do that these days, and that was a good nod to that. And trying to think of what else there was.
And they're not even overt, which is what I like so much. A lot of times it's super subtle that it's like, okay, if you're not looking for this, you're not so the goofy star tooth thing that I just mentioned. So I found that it is a purple stealable pickpocket item you can get, and
this is in Shadowkey.
So those are the collectibles you need to summon the weird tentacly monster thing at the end of it in the Crypt of Hearts. You need these 7 star teeth. Well, when I was going for you need to fence 1 million gold for an achievement or whatever, I'm like, oh man, I want to do this. Right before I get it, and after I had played that train wreck, I pickpocket this person, and I get a purple item. I'm like, oh, nice, that's worth a decent bit. And I look at it, and it's like Startooth. Once had a purpose to opening a gate or something. I was like, they just put a Shadow Key reference in a pickpocket thing that's super
never
rare to get. Right, you could just literally never see it.
Yeah, ever. How many pickpockets did it take to get you there?
God only knows. Thousands. I got the 1,000 pickpocket months before I got 1 million gold fenced, and it was one of the last things I ever pickpocketed.
Plus, my favorite nod, which a lot of people still don't get because Redguard is so obscure, is the fact that Naphalar and Nephali Largus are the same dragon.
Yes, which if I leave anything to the internet, it's the fact that I rambled on and on about Neflargalargus being a potential dragon, and then it was like, oh yeah, and I was like, man, Naphalar, he's so close. And then the more you interact with him, you're like, wait seems really likely that you are, and then it's basically all but confirmed. It's like, okay, I mean, it's him, it's him, and I was like, oh my god, my incoherent ramblings got in the ballpark of something that happened. Amazing.
As soon as I met Naphalar, the first thing I did was message Pylon from UESP and was like, is this the same dragon? And got all conspiracy theory vibe. And he's like, yeah, we're pretty sure it's the same dragon.
Yeah.
I was like, yes!
Yep.
Actually, did you guys look at the tweet that I just sent you?
I did.
Yes, that's awesome.
Yes.
That's amazing.
But isn't that the exact same place?
So that's the thing. Some of those pictures, the reference we're making is the original Skyrim photo of the Dragonborn looking out over Skyrim, and then obviously you've got the still frame from the trailer. That's the pictures we're referencing. Man, do they look similar.
I mean,
they really do.
Isn't that the exit of Helgen? That's got...
Yeah.
I think that's that's when you get out of the cave at Helgen. You go into the cave.
So the only thing is the bottom picture. You have to be looking south, because the green is the when it's the explosion of Tharn.
The burst. Yeah.
It's the burst that when Tharn
right.
controls that.
Yeah, that's not the. At least I assume that. I mean, that it seems weird that would not be the burst, and that would be the Aurora Borealis thing. Because
I don't think because it's tiny and it's below the summit of the mountains.
Right, and it's very specifically, essentially referenced in the video. directly after
Could it
Tharn
be-
does his thing.
Could it
So
be
it's like, well,
that whoever made this cinematic made a mistake? Would they have
I would
missed
assume
and-
that's pretty unlikely.
No, but think about it. They are putting it to Helgen, they are making the video, and they're like, okay, we are gonna reference the explosion, and they're just gonna put it all the way back there behind the mountains, kind of forgetting that this is north, and the explosion happened all the way down south.
I
So
mean,
I'll tag you in a tweet that I did. So this was kind of brought to me by someone else's attention, but they dug into it pretty deep, and I'll tag you in it later tonight. So the way they said it is, obviously that green has to be to the south. So where he would be standing, just judging by what you're looking at, is you're actually, Solitude is to your back. And you're
Right.
looking southeast, right? Is that right? Towards Elsewhere. Mm-hmm. And what you're seeing down here in the lowlands is the, like, Morthal, if you remember where Morthal is in Skyrim. So you'd be looking out over that marshlands and then out towards that way to the southwest towards Elsewhere.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
You're kind of in Hafinger Hold towards getting close to the Reach is where the Nord Hero would be standing.
Yeah, but if you are gonna see the explosion in Elsewhere from Skyrim by looking south, you are looking over like the mountains of Skyrim, then Geral Mountains, and then Cyrodiil, and then Cyrodiil's Elsewhere border, then the explosion. You are looking through the entire continent. That shouldn't be visible at all. I mean, it could obviously be. Yeah.
I did this experiment. So right after the cinematic came out on stream, I did an experiment where I actually went in and we played Skyrim, and I free cammed it all over the place to figure out where exactly this Nord hero could be standing. And my first thought was looking out towards Bleak Falls Barrow, like you see in that top picture. And I couldn't get the angle right to where it looked like the bottom picture and it looked believable. I could have just missed the spot. That's totally reasonable. But whenever I went up to Solitude, like I saw in that tweet that Ranger and I think Kyle Dimser Studios also retweeted, the one that they shared on Twitter, I actually got really, really close. If you go just south of Solitude, there's a shrine to Meridia. And I feel like that's important because
Another
there are
hand
a lot of
touches the beacon. Sorry.
Yes!
I couldn't resist.
So, if you look in, like, the bottom left, like, I think it's the bottom left on that bottom picture, you can kind of see, like, what looks to be Bleak Falls Barrow, but if you go towards that shrine of Meridia, you angle it just right, so where you catch that just in the corner of your vision of your camera, it looks like that, because there are ruins there.
Oh, that is actually also true, yeah. I mean, Meridia being the next villain makes so much sense after Somerset with Darien Gautier.
I would love that, actually.
And I've been waiting for that, but...
And with the, with so much, like, honestly, like, one of the biggest memes of Skyrim is Meridia and the Beacon of Meridia. Like, that's one of the biggest memes that I see as far as Skyrim. So them cashing on and maybe her being a villain in it, like, that might make sense.
And we just got a taste of the colored rooms in the Season of the Dragon with Depths of Malatar. So it would definitely make sense. I feel like that's where we're going.
Plus, everybody's
also
rallying and calling for Darien to make a return. So, I mean...
I hope so. I hope so.
Maybe they'll throw us a twist and he's been corrupted by Meridia and we have to fight him. Maybe.
I'm not gonna lie, I want that so bad.
That would hurt me. I mean, it would be really cool, but it would hurt.
I know, that's why. I can accept hurt when it's for a really cool thing like that.
True.
Because that would be very, very cool, since he is obviously, a pawn in a larger scheme. And one of the benefits that I love about, the stories and the lore to Elder Scrolls is that, again, Meridia was positioned as helping you, and she was a good Daedra, blah, blah, blah. But that's not really true. It was just you had similarly aligned goals at the time.
Exactly, yeah. I mean...
there are
as
no
it is with
goods
every
and
Daedra.
bads.
Yeah, exactly. There's no good Daedra, and
Yes,
at
and
the
it's like-
time you benefited her and she benefited you, so it
Right.
worked at the time. But now, if she's got a different goal and she,
Exactly, and
Yeah.
now it's like she can, and so I love that. I mean, like, as if anybody doesn't know my unrequited love for Hermaeus Mora, I love the fact that in Skyrim, when you're in Solstheim, it was pretty much like you replaced, what's his face there, Mirak, because Mirak was basically just in his way at this point. It's like, all right, I've exhausted my use for you, and you're becoming tedious. This person, Dragonborn's much more useful. You out, and he just, for the final confrontation, while you're battling him up, he just spikes him with one of his tentacles. It's like, okay, well, I guess we're done with this transaction. Like, alrighty then. So it's like, I love that stuff. So, oh man, there's so much potential.
And then we know how Zos loves to kind of give players what they want, like we saw with the
Yes.
Necromancer class. And so not only do we want Meridia, but a lot of people have been calling for vampires to have a bigger role, especially after Wolf Hunter. And Meridia really hates the undead, and if we go to Hafengar, like, Morthal's right there. And if I'm remembering my Skyrim right, wasn't there, like, a big vampire thing right there? And then directly, like, if you're standing at the statue of Meridia, facing the statue of Meridia, right behind you is Castle Volkihar. So you're sandwiched between a bunch of vampires.
Oh.
So we could
Yeah,
have a Solitude vampire storyline
Volkihar
as one of the DLC.
That makes
Correct.
sense.
Yeah, oh man, there's just so many different avenues they could take this.
They just need to take us all over.
And you know what? We may all be wrong and, be stunned.
It wouldn't be
come
the first
16.
time, and it definitely won't be the last time I'm wrong
But
about
the
one
thing
of these blind speculations.
They've been leaving breadcrumbs since vanilla. I mean,
Yes.
they hinted towards Orsinium in vanilla, then in Orsinium they hinted towards Somerset. No, Morrowind.
And then Clockwork, and then Somerset. Yeah, that was a long play that essentially Somerset had references all the way back going to borderline base game because of the trail they led you on. It's like, wow, that is really playing the long game.
So now I think they just, we now know that we need to dig and look for this kind of stuff. So, I think it's becoming more obvious to us what it might be. The answer to that question is yes, too, by the way.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, the question was...
I want to jump on that because that's very important and is part of my theory into this.
Right.
So, Serana, when Serana got entombed, there's no... at least I haven't been able to find a solid date as to when Serana was entombed there. The only thing we do know is that when Serana was entombed, there was no effective standing empire. So because in the dialogue, when you talk to her, you tell her, hey, I can't remember exactly, but you explained to her, like, the empire's in power. And that's a surprise to her because when she was entombed, there was no empire in power. So you could interpret that as she was entombed far before the Alessia's time in the revolt and stuff, or she could have been entombed during the interregnum when there was no empire, which is the second era and our timeline.
If we get to see her again, I will be so happy.
So,
oh my God.
that's just one of my crazy splinter theories. Is because of that dialogue when she was entombed, when there was no empire, it could have been during our timeline in Elder Scrolls Online, when her mother took her there to hide her from, what's his name, Harkin,
Lord Harkin,
her father Harkin. And, his quest at the time, the reason why Serana's mother hit her is because he was trying to blot out the sun. Right. Which could have a meaning on the darkness, because that's what Harkin was trying to bring in, was a darkness over all of Tamriel. It could just be one of the angles that the story could be leading us to. And maybe part of our quest is to help, entomb her where, to set her up for the Skyrim story. But that's just me thinking way too far.
Honestly, I like this theory. And if I get to be the one to entomb Serana, I'll be very happy. because she never stopped whining the entire playthrough of Skyrim. So this time I'll be like, okay, this is where you live for the next 1,000 years now.
Yeah, well, she just has a rough time with doorways and not getting shot when she's walking through them. That's not my fault.
At least she's mostly invulnerable, unlike Lydia, who blocks the doorways and then easily dies. And I just kind of leave her for dead. Like, the first few times I killed her, like, I'd reload a save, and now it's like, okay, you died faster than expected this time. I guess I'm taking all the crap now.
Yep.
I was trying to play a peaceful, or not peaceful, but immersive playthrough on my last Skyrim playthrough. Like, not attacking everything in my path was one of the things. And Serena just kills everything and everyone. We get attacked by
murder crazy.
Yeah, we get attacked by vampires. And I'm like, okay, we are killing the vampires. And then we have these NPCs, like bystanders or guards or whatever, that are trying to help us. And then one of them just makes a tiny little mistake, and Serena just starts murdering them as well. I'm like, stop! I Fusrota her all the way to another continent, and she comes back running, starts hitting on the guards again. I'm like, stop! But she doesn't listen, and then she's like, Skyrim smells. Well, go back to your tomb.
But another thing on the, the Serana theory of us entombing her and all that other stuff, and we're due for a skill line, we could get, maybe a better fleshed out vampire skill line, something of that sort, maybe something completely different. Maybe the vampire being the vampire, but the new skill line, completely separate from the vampire skill line, would be the vampire lord skill line. You never know.
Or vampire hunter skill line.
Or that you never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, bring it.
Or, but I mean, with Skyrim, my preferred, like, the skill line I'm hoping is the Nord. Just the Nord.
Just
like,
being
you
a
can
Nord.
drink. You can fight.
You
can throw punches. Yeah.
I'm still on board for bards. That's
skill line.
I would love to see that. Yeah, especially if they make it all like musical and somehow like coordinate, or not coordinate, but like sync.
Did you guys ever play old school EverQuest? Did any of you ever play that?
I did not.
Or am I just too old?
ESO was my first MMO, so I'm like late to the game here.
Oh, okay.
I came here solely on IP recognition. At first, it was somebody was like, maybe you should try it. And I was like, oh, this is pretty good. Like, I like this.
Not to mention, you and I came from console, so that we're very limited over on console as far as MMO choice.
Yeah, we probably had like 2 other choices, if that.
So, old school EverQuest did the bard perfectly. It was to the point where in old school EverQuest, a bard was essential, because they brought something to the group that you couldn't get anywhere else. And, you had, instead of equipable weapons, you equipped a loot. And your abilities, there was one where one of your loot songs was, a damage over time that you would cast on the enemy, but you'd be strumming on a loot the whole time. It was amazing. And I would love to see something like that come to ESO.
I mean, a damage over time...
Especially after watching The Witcher, I'm just saying.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
I mean, I can see a damage over time loot spell, because that would be me playing the loot.
It would pain us so much to hear you strumming on the loot that it would just
just make it stop.
The cacophony ultimate does massive damage and stuns because they're covering their ears.
See, I can see it working.
But the cool thing about the bard in EverQuest is you could weave your singing ability and your loot ability. So there were 2 separate abilities, but you could weave them because you'd be playing the loot and obviously singing, quote unquote singing at the same. There was no singing audio in EverQuest because it's such an old game, but it would you could weave the 2 together and get both effects from those 2 abilities. So now I doubt we will get a bard, but I would very much like it. Yeah, bard skills had overlap. Yeah, absolutely. I would very much like to see that. in Elder Scrolls Online, but I think they're taking us in a different direction that's going to surprise us, because everything seems so obvious to me now at this point.
Yes.
After digging so deep, I'm like, they're going to throw us a curveball.
Oh yeah, there's got to be something we're not expecting. I mean, the only credence to the Bard idea that I could just see is they've, for better or worse, a lot of ESO is the solution to all your problems is hit it harder.
Yeah.
So that you have to do the mechanics for less time. So DPS is king. Like, it really is. Like, but they've, so they've revamped healing earlier, which had, it seems like it's actually gone over quite well. I love the fact that people aren't stealing my damn orbs and stuff like that now, because, but like, that went over like a ton of bricks when they announced it, and everybody had a meltdown and then realized, oh, wait, they have some idea of what they're doing. We're all being ridiculous.
I got a story about that when you're done.
Okay. But with them doing that, they've been trying to kind of course correct as we've been. I mean, people still do crazy damage, don't get me wrong. But they've been course correcting with some growing pains to try to give some more diversity to things so that it's not just out damage everything. So a bard being like heavy with support would theoretically feed into that idea even more, because I could see that being very useful support wise. Like, I fudge my way into being like a healer / tank or damage. My character's a mess of whatever the group currently needs. The only staple I have is I can get hit in the face hard. That's really all I got. Yeah. And then I fill in the blanks. But it seems like something like that could really actually benefit more toward, hey, support has all of these things. It isn't necessarily all damage. Or if it is about damage, this guy or gal will help you get there. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. I could
replace one of those
DPS
slots with a support slot.
Exactly. Yes. So I could definitely see it fitting into how they've been course correcting so much of their combat recently.
True that. So with the orbs thing, you said you used to like the way it was before, or you hated the way it was before because everybody would steal the orbs.
Yeah.
So when we saw the change we were at ZOS, I was just like, I was all about it. Everybody was starting to freak out, so I was like, look, this change is good. No one's gonna steal the orbs anymore. Like,
yes,
this is fine. This is fine. I'm cool with this. So I thought that was funny.
No, absolutely, because once I got to try it, I was like, okay, this is exactly what I've heard. It's kind of funny. I think you and like maybe 3 or 4 others kind of were like, this is, I think it was Zynode, and like they were like, this is fine. Like, you're going to like this when you finally try it and don't just read about it.
Yeah. And
I'm very much like, I'll determine what I think when I play it. I don't need to be told what I should feel about whatever changes. And yeah, when I tried it, I was like, well, this is great. Like, I love it.
That's the problem. You know, people take patch notes at face value. They read it, and they immediately take to whatever form of social media they want, and they rage about it without ever testing. And, you know, my hat's off to those who test it and formulate their opinion and are like, okay, this is why I don't like it. But for the people that on patch day read the patch notes and have this long thought out, show screenshots of them unsubbing to ESO and all this other stuff, and it's like, you haven't even touched it. Like, touch it.
Right.
Like, test it. And then, you know, when you come at me with, okay, I've tested it, this is why I don't like it, this is why I'm unsubbing. All right. Legit.
That's fine. Yeah, exactly. No, and there are some that have not worked. On the overhaul to shields, the first pass on that, okay, when you had like there was the brief thing. I think Alcast was the one who made the video, which granted was a little dramatic, but it was kind of funny to prove the point. When they had, you could crit shields now, which I was fine with. I like that you can crit shields because it makes some bosses a lot easier. But just in a PvP sense, you can crit shield. But they had the 1 second cast time at first, which they changed. And that was really funny. He was like, who is going to stand here while I cast a shield on myself in 1 second? Because by the time I'm done, my shield goes up on my corpse. And I'm like, that's valid. Like, I get that.
Yeah.
But
no,
again,
I remember when he posted that video.
yeah, but they, again, once it got some testing, they fixed it. Like, so it's like, okay, that's fine. Not everything needs to be a home run. That's the point of a test server. You're testing stuff, so...
And honestly, whenever the Healy balls changed, like I was nervous at first just because of what people were telling me. I was like, oh man, how am I gonna get heals out? But then whenever I got it, I was like, wait, everybody can touch the balls still, and it's still okay, and it's just one of them. I'm like, this is amazing because all of my magicka was just going to these balls, and it was just ridiculous. And I felt like I was just an orb dispenser, and that's all I was for a little while as a healer. And now I feel like I can do so much more because I just have to keep one orb going on occasion, and it's fine. So it was actually a really great change, and that's really the only one that's super affected me since I tend to almost exclusively play healers.
Yeah, I was gonna ask Pixie's opinion because as a resident healer, like, what do you think about the healer walls? But then, yeah, but anyway, and as a
Providing
tank,
me
I
heals,
also
what do you
like this
think?
change. Like, I like this change as well because most of the time when I'm tanking, I try to not have a healer as well. But even when we have a healer, I mostly run with pugs. The veteran DLC dungeons with pugs, the healer is usually not enough in those. So I kind of contribute to healing as well. But, I mean, tanking is stamina based, so I have very small pool of magicka. So if I started to use the healing balls, I would not have magicka for extended chains, armor, whatever, things like that. But now that they made this, I can just send one healing ball for whatever magicka amount it is. And I would be able to support everyone in the group while still having magicka to pull everything in towards me. So, I don't know. From a tanking perspective, who also does sort of no healer runs, maybe not as much as Lotus, but I like the change. I definitely like the change.
Yeah, and I mean, that's why I shifted up a lot of my stuff. That before I was involved with, the podcast and other stuff, that was kind of our original gimmick, was like, we're just going to do everything without a healer, and then it kind of became, I know, I'm sorry, Pixie. It became like,
it's okay.
We can be really efficient if people were... I mean, my old crew, like, they were hitting pretty top-end DPS at the time, and it was just like, oh, okay, this is... But then the problem was, I'm all for however you want to do stuff, and I mean, granted, I stand by the fact that Black Rose Prison was pretty much created just to grief people who like to do that. I mean, you can do it. I've never done it without a healer, but I know that it's still doable. But, like, the whole thing about that... I hated when that kind of became like an elitist thing where it was like, oh, well, healers aren't needed. It's like, well, theoretically, if you're good enough, you can just one-man the dungeon, but it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It's like, well, that's fine. But that doesn't mean...
And there's people out there that can do it. I mean,
there are. I was going to say, I mean... One of the stupidest things I've ever done on stream was somebody mentioned, it's like, oh, you don't even need support characters at all. And I snidely said something about, well, you don't need any character at all as long as you just pick whatever you're currently playing and go through it. And they said you can't do that with a support. So I did a random, I think it was just Fungal Grotto 1, but I did Vet Hard Mode Fungal Grotto 1 by myself on my tank. It took... an hour and like 57 minutes because
it'll take you. You'll get it done. It'll take you forever.
And the thing was that I was like, this isn't me being skillful. This is me just whittling everything down because I'm a tank.
Was this before or after you cleared Veteran Maelstrom Arena on your tank?
This was after that. That was way back when Morrowind launched, and that was just stupid.
Remember how you said pre-show you were like, I do this, I'm probably sick? I think Veteran Maelstrom Arena on your tank is when you broke.
Yeah,
that's when everything went wrong.
That snapped a couple wires in my head so that I just started doing dumb stuff. Still, the thing is though, like I do dumb stuff and I have like average skill. I feel like some people will do stuff like, you know, I'm going to do VMA, you know, naked or whatever. And it's like, well, you're probably just really good at VMA. I'm not really good at VMA. I'm just stubborn. Like,
so before, it's funny you bring that up, because before Gilliam went and worked at ZOS when he was just a content creator, I challenged him on Twitter when the remember when the broom in the bucket came out?
Oh my god, yes.
I on Twitter I challenged him. I said, because he was he was really good at VMA, and I was just like, all right, if you're that good at VMA, do it with just a broom in a bucket. And he did it, posted the video, and he crushed it with just the broom in the bucket. He completely destroyed it. It was amazing.
That's what I mean. That to me, like, I actually think I brought that up a couple shows ago. Yeah. That to me, that's somebody who it's like, well, you're very good at this. You're not just a moron, like, I'm going to do this because I don't want to make a new character that does damage. Like, that's
but
actually talented.
All of this being said in this whole conversation, I was talking with Kyle a couple days ago. I'm pretty big supporter of, I think that we need a stat squish in ESO. I don't know if you guys know what that is. World of Warcraft has done it a few times.
Yep.
Where they condense everything, you know, like the stats on all the gear, the stats on yourself, and you kind of squish it down to bring it back in line. Because we're falling subject to our power creep. The power creep's been real, and we haven't had like a true, real stat squish lately. And I think that would help with the certain builds being able to solo everything in the game.
Right. And I mean, we've had our CP locked for going on a year at this point, almost. Well, actually, technically, even though they didn't announce it being locked, I guess it was locked last year at this time. It's just we didn't know it was locked. We didn't know
810 was going to be the
exactly. We had hit 810, but it was like we didn't realize they were going to tell us at the unveiling, oh, by the way, you don't get any more CP. Well, you can get CP, you just can't use more CP.
Which I don't think anyone's been talking about it, but maybe we'll get this year, in January in Vegas, maybe they'll let us know what the next step is with CP. Because I'm 90% sure that there's something coming. And I don't know this for sure. I don't have any insider information, but I'm pretty sure that something might be coming. If it's not announced this year, maybe later down the road, but
I mean, I would hope so, because content, yes, the story, the things, they are good, but I'm actually gonna do a great tie-in here. I am so burned out of the fact that tanking meta has not changed in years. I've been running with the same gear, same skills, same class, and I've been nailing every veteran hard mode DLC dungeon with a little bit of struggle for the last, 3-4 years now? I mean, we just switched from Magicka to Stamina once, and that was the change for tanking. Ever since then, we didn't get... Trials are different. I guess trials need different sets, but for 4-man dungeons, the tanking meta has not changed ever since it just turned to Stamina. That was it. It is the same sets, same skills, same style, and has been continuing like this. And I would love like a stat squish, a full set revamp, something that just drastically changes and gives me a purpose to grind new stuff, do new stuff, just work for something. So I guess that is one part of why I'm burned out as well. Segue.
Nice. That was
good.
If we didn't just draw attention to the fact that was such a sweet segue, that would have been a sweet segue.
Yeah, exactly.
I had to botch it somehow.
This is good.
You know it. We can't have that quality stuff on the show. It is not allowed.
Burnout.
It's too
I mean, when I
highbrow.
signed my contract with AG, there was this bold point. You cannot make this high quality. You gotta botch it somehow. It is in my contract. It is what it is. But seriously, I want new stuff. I need new stuff. And I don't feel like we'll get it again. I'm speaking in terms of tanking, by the way, because I know DPS and healing, they change very rapidly. Because I've seen people complaining that they had to refarm the sets within the span of like 2-3 months. But not farming anything is also not fun. Doesn't give you anything to do. I wish I could DPS, but my highest DPS has been 9k, so I don't like to do that either.
I can't DPS either, don't feel bad.
But yeah, for discussion topic this week, I mean, we are already at 2 hours, by the way, so we are going strong.
Nice.
I haven't had a micro sleep yet, so that's good.
Soon.
Yeah, soon.
We'll be talking about drones over Cyrodiil again like a couple weeks ago.
It's just a matter of time.
So basically, our discussion topic for this week is: do you get burned out of ESO, and if so, how do you battle it? And actually, we wanted to bring you on about this Ranger like a few weeks back, but due to all kinds of weird stuff happening, hold on, there's a message in chat that. Okay,
I allowed it.
All right, it was.
I was.
I don't
too
know
much power
why
long
Autobot
ago.
just hold
I
that,
don't
but
have any idea.
but then everything started messing up, and our show just became inconsistent. So we kind of postponed it. But now that we finally have you here, we thought, okay, because you took a break from the game for a considerable amount of time.
I did, yes.
And then you came back to it strong again. So what kind of triggered your burnout? If was there a specific thing, or if it's just like over time, and what made you come back to it?
Okay, so I'll start with this. So I was at the time playing non-stop since Thieves Guild.
Ooh.
I didn't take a break. Thieves Guild, Dark Brotherhood, Morrowind, Clockwork City, Somerset. I didn't take a break. That was and I'm talking 6 to 10 hours a day playing.
Ooh. Yeah.
And it was pretty unhealthy. But with all that constant playing, I was doing pretty good. I was starting to feel a little bit, but then, I got invited out to ZeniMax, and I was like, all right, this is what I need. This is the rejuvenation that I need. So I went out there, got to see all the good stuff, got to test elsewhere and everything. Came back, did the hype for that, and I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. Elsewhere launched, and I didn't play it.
Ooh.
And then I got injured at work, which kind of, with the burnout and then my injury at work, is the reason why I stopped. It was the two in conjunction, because when I got injured at work, it was hard for me to sit at a computer. So
Right.
It was a combination of the burnout, and that is when I was like, all right, I need to take a break. Which I felt really bad about, because I just got back from ZeniMax, and I part of me, and I still live with this guilt today, that I kind of let them down after that, where I had to take the break after that because of everything that had happened to me. But the burnout was real. It was, when one thing that contributed to my burnout is I got so caught up in wanting to perform at a meta level that what I learned as trying to keep up with the meta and everything, it makes the game unfun. It makes it it's just not fun. And I get it. Some people like that. Some people like meta performance, and that's their thing. And I'm not hating on them for that, but for me, it takes the fun out of it. You get angry. You look at certain changes with a toxic outlook, because it's almost, I don't want to say it's selfish, but it's unhealthy to look at changes where it doesn't benefit you specifically anymore. So you get mad at the change because you're trying to perform at a meta level and you can't anymore because of such an insignificant change to what mechanic A or B. so you become angry at it. And I was like, you know what? I have to change that thinking. I can enjoy the game and not perform at a meta level. So now, what brought me back, number one, is the story. So I finally decided to come back. Started with Elsewhere. And then the story immediately hooked me back in. And I play every quest in the game. Like, I make sure that there isn't a single quest not done. So I'm in it for the story. And then I was like, you know what? I want to play how I want to play. And so what I learned that where I get most of my fun is my play style. So I play is I max out my gear and stuff to where I know I'm going to be doing good DPS, but I run a sword and shield.
Oh.
So
you'll have to give me tips on that as well, by the way.
Yeah, I've actually got it really refined, and I really enjoy it to where, because you know, if you guys have been there, you take your tank and you try to do quests, and it's like, oh, I'm a potato, like I don't have a lot of damage.
Yep.
But there's something satisfying about a sword and a shield, and doing, you know, when you go in and you can kill something in 2 or 3 hits with a sword and a shield, that's satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can go up against a world boss with decent DPS, but have enough defense to be able to defend against it.
Yep.
And I was like, all right, this is fun. This is what I enjoy. So now I've come into this to where I'm enjoying what I'm doing again. It's breathing new life into it because I'm playing differently, and I'm not worried about meta performance. Because to me, meta performance ruins the game for me. And I realized that it was the root of my burnout, and I don't want it to happen again. So that's kind of the TLDR. There's a lot more into it, but you know, we're already at 2 hours. We'll be here for 6 hours if I keep going. for the most part, that's where it is. That's where my burnout came from. And
yeah, fair enough. I mean, the way you describe, like 6 to 10 hours a day, I would have burned out a lot sooner than that. And I never really cared for meta either, so there's at least that. I tried dumb, weird builds and things like that. I mean, even I got burned out, and I played a lot less than that in the span of the last 2-3 years, I suppose. But then again, I kept taking, like, every few months, I took a break for about a month or so. Lately, I've been on a quite longer burnout spree. But yeah, I mean, it's been 5 years if you think about it. Most of the people, regardless of what they do, whether if they're like on the stream team, whether if they are like, as you said, invited to ZMX Online or whatever, you are gonna get burned out. And you mentioned it like because you kind of feel like you let them down. I wouldn't think it that way, because the fact that you were invited to ZeniMax Online headquarters was not because of what you would do afterwards, but because everything you did up until that time. So honestly, I wouldn't think it like you let them down or anything, because I mean, imagine we played this game for thousands and thousands of hours. What else in your life did you do for thousands and thousands of hours?
Yeah.
Like maybe sleeping, breathing, eating, the things that keep you alive, yes, but other than that, it definitely happens.
Yeah. It was just hard for me, you know, because they put so much faith in me, and, you know, especially not being a streamer and getting an invite out there, like, I felt like there was a little bit more pressure on me, and it was kind of irrational, because, you know, they kind of, them and the other people that, you know, they got invited out there, like, look, it's, you know, it's not the fact that, you know, they're not just inviting streamers out there, because they invited people from all spectrums. There's actually someone in chat, Elsanzo Janis, him and I went to ZOS together, and he is strictly involved in the forums. He doesn't stream, he's not big on Twitter, he lives on the forums, and that's what got him, you know, his notoriety and popularity on the forums is what got him invited out there. So they pull from every pool, you know, streamers, people on the forums. Wohler, for example, you know, he is big on the ESO subreddit.
Yeah. Yeah.
he moderates there.
Yep.
So, you know, he got picked for his influence there. So it's just different influencers in their realms. Because, you know, an influencer isn't just a streamer or a YouTuber. An influencer is whatever realm you're influencing, whether it be Twitter, Reddit, all that other stuff. So it was more my internal struggles, you know, with myself, where I was like, I let them down, which I know was irrational, but it was still part, you know, it was hard for me to try to cope with and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, in any case, we are glad that our resident Imperial is back. That's for sure.
Yes, I'm very glad.
Definitely.
I just want to get back into ESO myself as well, because I miss the times, but so many people are burned out that our group is basically disbanded at the moment. Hopefully the I'm Down to the event will bring them back, but we'll see, because they were a dungeon group. They were a full dungeon group, the A team. But yeah, what about you, LotusPixie? Burnout.
Well, I know how you feel whenever like your entire group leaves you, and that kind of leaves you wondering like, what am I even going to do in this MMO? Because I'm used to playing with my friends and this group of friends. Because back whenever I was on Xbox especially, I had this group of friends that I'd play with every night, became really close with them personally, and then they all got burned out. I was still very much into the game and wanting to play all the time. They all got burned out, and they all kind of quit playing for a really long time, to the point where it's like, well, you know, I'm kind of nervous. This is my first MMO. These friends just kind of fell into my lap, and I don't really know how to make new friends in an MMO, so I guess I'll just kind of quit too. And so I took like a 6-month break whenever I was still back on Xbox. Like, it was that's the longest break I've had. Then I came back to Xbox, and I was still having trouble making new friends over there. And then I switched to PS4, and that like really revitalized the game for me, because I had a few real life friends who played that game with me. Then whenever I jumped onto PC, at that point I had been streaming and met friends through there who were playing on PC. So I've had constant people to play with, which has been really nice and helping me keep Burnout from just lack of friends at bay. But at the same time, here recently, kind of to echo what Ranger was saying, now I didn't play for 6 to 10 hours a day, but I play for like 4 hours a day on the weekends, and then like 3 hours a day on weeknights, which is a lot of gaming for me, with my schedule and everything. But I was just going all at these veteran dungeons, and that's just all I want to do, is just heal these dungeons, get all of those achievements, and I just kind of dug it into the ground a little bit. So around the time that Pokemon Sword and Shield came out, so I got it on launch day, and I was like, you know what? Instead of playing ESO, I'm just not going to log in. I'm just going to take a break. I'm going to focus my attention to Pokemon right now, because I'm really enjoying this. And Pokemon is so different from ESO that it was just kind of like this detox that I just I felt like I needed. And so by the end of that 2 weeks, it was like, I'm so ready to get back into Elder Scrolls Online again. And but then whenever I got back, it was kind of a funny thing. So I logged on to my Necromancer. I'm like, I don't really want to jump back into these hard dungeons, this harder content I was doing. I'm just going to roll a new character and just do story stuff for right now. And that's pretty much what I've been doing since I've been back, is I've been playing through the Murkmire story, doing the new life stuff, all on this Warden that I've made, just to kind of mix it up a little bit. It really is.
Oh my god, such a good
If you haven't played it, you totally should. I still haven't had a chance to finish it, but it is incredible.
You know what's so good about it is so far off the path, like it doesn't fit into any of the storylines. And it's its own contained little story that you can do at any point during the playthrough. Because, you know, there is a certain path you have to take with a lot of the quests.
Yeah.
And a lot of the chapters. Like, a lot of the chapters and DLCs are in chronological order. But Murkmire is one that you could do at the beginning of your playthrough, you could do at the end, and it'll fit in, and the story is just so crazy good. And the feels that you get, it's good. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. It really is incredible.
No, you're fine. That was pretty much, like, that just brings me to today, where it's helping pull me out of that burnout. So if you're in ESO and say you just do nothing but run dungeons and trials all the time, try taking like a week or two to play a non-MMO, non-medieval fantasy, just as far away from ESO as you can get game, And then whenever you come back, instead of jumping straight back into what burned you out in the first place, try something different in game, because the game can really be played as a completely single player experience if that's what you want. So if you're used to running all this group content, play by yourself for a little while, and then whenever you feel like jumping back into those dungeons, like, don't put pressure on yourself to level or play a certain build. Try some experimental builds. You might find something that suits your playstyle better. Because whereas some people will be like, oh, Templar is best for healing, you should definitely do a Templar or a Warden. I play best as a Necro. It's just dependent on playstyles. And the same thing with tanking. Like, I'm a Warden tank. I don't do a Dragon Knight tank. I like the Warden.
Oh, God.
And
Warden tank. Flashbacks.
No, I haven't done a Dragon Knight tank, but it's just an example. I like the Warden, so I have no need for a Dragon Knight for myself right now. So I just say, just try, if you want to get back into the game, you want to fight the Burnout, just do something completely different. So, like, Ark, maybe you should just DPS or try healing for a bit. Maybe that'll just be, maybe you'll just fall in love with healing, and you can come to PCNA and we'll just run an all healer crew. And
all healer dungeon. God, that sounds even worse than me running Bloodroot Forge with pugs.
I mean, nobody will die. We just won't kill things much.
Yeah, literally nobody will die. Not us, not the enemy. It's.
Well, you keep them at top health, and then they'll die of old age, and you'll win in the long run.
Exactly.
See,
we just play the long game.
I guess also works.
Burnout fixed. But yeah, doing something radically different for me is just really what helped a lot.
No, and you're right. I did Fallout 76, and you know, after you've been swinging a sword and shield for so long, something about picking up an AK-47 is just it's relieving. But then, you know, on the flip side, after you've, you know, been toting a rifle around for 4 or 5 months, you know, picking a sword and shield back up is also refreshing. So
it really makes it feel like you're coming home. If that sounds super corny, but that's how it felt for me. So, like, I was playing and streaming Pokemon, and then whenever I came back to ESO, it just felt like I was coming home again. Like, I had all the familiar ESO friends in chat. I was playing this game that I just know so well and have spent so much time in. It's like, you know what? This is nice. I've missed this. And it was something that I hadn't felt in a while because I had just been all about ESO for so long and hadn't played anything else. It's like, you know, maybe I should do that more often. Not really take a full, like, 2-week break or whatever. Like, still log in every day and say hi to everybody. But, you know what? Mixing it up a little bit, like, that's not a bad thing to do. And that's going to keep me here for the long run.
Yeah, I guess that's the most solid advice. Like, not to get stuck on one single thing. But man, I can't live tanking. It's. I will accept this advice, but at the same time not listen it. One of my main issues is that with the story gameplay, like the story of ESO is amazing, but the story gameplay feels so redundant and boring now, because to get, like, I just want to see the dialogues or whatever. But you have to go through unchallenging lots of content to get to the story itself. Like, all these mobs attack you, they hype it up. Like, in Elsewhere, the Zumak Foom fight. For the entire first half of Northern Elsewhere chapter, they speak of Zumak Foom like, oh, he is this super necromancer, he's so strong, wow, Zumak Foom. And then you just smack him in the head and he dies. It's like, but... give me challenge. That's what keeps me from doing the story as well. And I mainly played Elder Scrolls Online for story for all these years. And now that the story kind of got boring in terms of gameplay, now the story itself is amazing, but the gameplay part of it is kind of boring. It's like, but I just can't get the motivation to actually do the story, to get the amazing story. That's one of my problems as well.
You know, maybe what you could do is to just make a new character that's just your story character, so you wouldn't be bringing this into dungeons and dragging anybody else down, but just make the most potato build you can think of that's just not gonna hit hard. It's gonna be like a very fragile. Just like think of it as like a commoner who just got sucked into this story by chance because they got their soul stolen by Molag Bal, and you're just like farmer's son, and that's just what you're doing, and you're trying to swing things at the enemy, and just purposely play badly to where it's hard. So
that's actually a solid idea. Yeah, I could give it a try. I can see myself trying that.
Just intentionally make it as hard as possible.
you gotta think about it though. Like, it is, if you take your main through your CP810 main through to do the storyline, because it's what he's your achievement tune. You want to get all the quests done, but you got to think a new player jumping in. It's going to be challenging to them, but it's the same quest line. It has to be geared for them as well. And yeah, we have level scaling and stuff, but to a degree, even though everything scales to you and to you is the CP810 and it's the level 1 player, that level 1 player still is going to see more of a challenge in the Zumog Foom fight than you are at CP810.
Yeah, but
because of the champion points alone.
Right.
But
the fact that you have max champion points. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry, but I also disagree with their story order thing as well, because they've been dropping new players right at the latest chapter, which I already think is a mistake. So that's where I'm also coming from.
It is. Because you can't start in the middle of Morrowind because you miss a big chunk of the build-up.
Right. Yeah. The story loses something when you don't get all the build-up that gets you in the place where these things would have the impact they have. But it's also tough to sell a product to people being like, yeah, so don't worry, you only need to play 800 hours of storyline.
No, you're right.
You're going to love that. It's like, people aren't going to do that. They're going to be like,
I guess.
Yeah, especially with coming into Skyrim, people are going to want to jump straight into whatever Skyrim content they have. They don't want to play the Plain Meld, Morrowind, Clockwork, Somerset,
now that
elsewhere.
You mention it, jeez, yeah, that is. Now that you mention it back to back like that,
yeah, it's daunting to think about, and I made reference to this. I won't just blatantly spoil anything, but I made reference to this during the spoiler episode. How I loved the fight to end elsewhere, like the whole Season of the Dragon thing, because although I had no threat of these things aren't going to kill me, I liked how your final fights, they weren't over in a flash. Because the first time you encounter a dragon elsewhere, you ruffle stomp the thing immediately. And it's just like, oof, okay. But at the end, when, keeping it vague, you look at 16.9 million hit points, it was like, yo, that's like a vet dungeon boss. And then his health just starts going down, little by little. I was like, you're going to make me fight this thing for 16 points? Now, granted, there's some story stuff but you still chew through several million hit points. I'm like, I like this. This feels like what I'm doing matters more than, for example, Zumog Foom, where I'm like, Zumog, get out of my way, and it's just pick up, throw against wall. Okay, you're defeated. Get out of my face. That actually felt like a fight, which I really enjoyed, and I hope that they kind of lean into that, because especially with, if we fight a Daedric Prince or something like that, it's like, bring on the things that are interesting, whether they be mechanics to slow it down, or you actually need to fight the thing like it's a dungeon boss and you are doing it solo, whatever the case. Much more engaging for me, but it's still doable, at least for newer players who aren't stacked to the rafters on, 1200 CP or whatever, so I definitely liked how that ended. It felt like it was a step in the right direction, at least.
And I do want to chime in a little bit. So you were talking earlier about how, or everybody was talking earlier about how it's kind of detrimental that they let new players start at the newest expansion. I have to disagree there because recently I started playing Final Fantasy XIV online on the side, and all of my friends who have been playing that game forever are all into Shadowbringers content. I just start back with The Realm Reborn. You want to talk about daunting? All of that story just takes forever. I'm very interested in all of the story of the game, and it's all fine and dandy, but I want to play with my friends, too, because it's at the end of the day, it's an MMO, and you want to run this new content, this new 24-man that just came out, with your friends, and you just can't do that until you go through so much content as a new player, so it's just like, oh man, I don't want to buy the story skip for all of this. I want to experience it, but man, I can't, I'm never going to catch up because I'm only playing this on the side. This isn't my main game, ESO is. And it's very daunting. So I personally like how they handled the whole season of the dragon. So especially with Dragonhold, so you could get up to X plot point and then they stop you there until you finish the thing before it. So if they could do more stuff like that where you can't completely finish it, like you can't get to that resolution until you do this other stuff, but you can still do the majority of the content and play with your friends and talk about the story with your friends as they're doing it too. I feel like that is a really great compromise that they managed to do, and I really appreciated that a lot because it was still able to give you that continuous story that you get in a game like Final Fantasy XIV. But you don't feel like you're completely locked out of doing everything without just hours and hours and hours of content.
Right. I guess that makes sense too, but at the moment, because I haven't started a new character in a long time, do you start, like, does your new character spawn into the newest expansion?
You go to the newest tutorial point. So yeah, you're in Elsewhere, and you are essentially, you've survived a dragon attack, and you are in this, one of those monasteries where the Khajiit are. The names are escaping me right now. But basically they're kind of going through, you're with these Khajiiti monks, and they're teaching you how to fight, and then boom, dragon time. And so it like makes sense. And I don't know, I feel like it was a good place to start the game. I mean, you do miss out, like, whenever you see Sai, like, I have a friend who recently picked up the game, and so she started actually with Somerset, but she got back into it with Elsewhere, and she made a new tune and played starting with that tutorial. And so whenever she met Sai, since she had never done the base game main quest, she didn't realize, like, how significant he was, and so she didn't have that love for him that we do. So that had less impact to her, but she was still able to get in. She learned to love Sai through that story alone. And his dialogue is slightly different, I believe, if you haven't met him before. Because I know in the past, whenever oh, my cat is attacking things, sorry. With things I've done in the past, so like I said, I switched. I haven't even done the base game stuff on PC since I came over. Right. And some of the dialogue's just slightly different because I remembered it from how it was on console whenever I did Morrowind and whatnot. And so I feel like you can jump in and you can still have an appreciation for the story. If you have the time and you feel like going back and starting from the beginning, it is a good idea because you do have that love for the characters at the end. But I don't think people are really shooting themselves in the foot by just jumping straight in with the newest thing, especially if it's going to keep them in the game. Like, I feel like I'd be more inclined to play Final Fantasy more if I was starting at Shadowbringers, because A, that story interests me more than most of the others, B, that's where all my friends are, and it's kind of a bummer to have to, like, pull them back, like, into super old, low-level content for them with me, and I'm the one, again, kind of lagging behind like I was with my friends on Xbox, so they kind of drug me through content because I leveled slower than they did. It's just not as fun to play that way, to me.
Honestly, that was well explained, and yeah, I mean, it does make sense. It definitely does make sense, but I would still, because one of my favorite things is to see an old character. Not the dead ones, magically coming back, not that much, but just old characters, you know, making
They have good explanations.
Well, I mean, I honestly haven't finished the Dragonhold storyline because of the, well, Burnout. So I don't know the exact explanation of Sai, but for Darien, I really had liked Darien. Sorry, Lotus, what was that? I missed that.
Sorry, that reminded me that I need to send you guys all those screenshots I took for that reason. I actually forgot to after last show. That just reminded me of that, sorry.
I'm actually going to read a few of the, because I sent this off to Twitter as well to see what people think, and I'm going to read some of these. Bob, who's also actually in chat, for me, Burnout didn't really hit that much this year, but honestly, I've been more into the game than ever. Being inspired by all the streamers and podcasters this year has been truly inspiring. I have big plans for 2020. I legit can't wait for it. I mean, I don't know if we are among the inspirers, but if you got inspired by us, your bar is not that high. Because I've been inspiring Burnout. But thank you, Bob. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. And I'm glad you didn't get Burnout. And 2020, hopefully, will be a massive comeback year as well. Because Skyrim and Nords. Imagine the last few chapters. Dunmers, okay. Altmers, yeah.
Yes.
And then Khajiit, it's like, okay, I guess, whatever.
So we're ready for Imperials, is what you're saying.
Correct.
Honestly, I would love a Cyrodiil chapter. I would love an Imperial chapter. That has so much potential. Although I don't know where in the map they would put it, because Cyrodiil is being used as a full-on war zone. But actually, yeah.
You still have the Colovian Highlands and Nibene down towards Leowyn.
Actually, I would love Nibene.
Blackwood.
Some
you still
Nibene,
have that part of the map we have to fill in.
I would love some Nibenese bureaucracy and aristocracy and all kinds of weird drama in Nibben Valley. That would be lovely. I would actually enjoy that.
And you know what family comes from Nibene?
Tarn.
The Thorns. Yes, indeed.
That would actually be really fun. Alright, so Guardian says, Burnout, yes. I only play PvE content. My guildmates try and get me to play PvP, but I'm just not interested. Basically, I find another game to play for like 1-2 weeks before going back, and it feels like a good break. I don't think any game is designed to be played all the time. I guess that is very true. Is very true. I mean, there are people who play a single game for years and years and years. Not just the ESO. There are Tetris champions out there who's been playing Tetris for the last 20 years. Now, if you think about it, some people are pure resistant to Burnout. But yeah, it is definitely true that they are not meant to be played all the time.
So I've limited my playtime a lot now. Like, I'm only on for a couple hours a day. I realize that I did it wrong the first time, and to play for that much every day was the wrong answer. So some days I'll log in for an hour or two, some days 30 minutes. So one day I'll say, all right, all I'm doing is logging in, doing my writs, collecting my daily reward, and logging off. Mm-hmm. Even though I want to do more, I just know I need to preserve the want to play.
Mm-hmm. Plus, I'd say that's not just for Burnout, but overall that is a lot more healthier than, okay, I'm gonna do 10-hour game time and then other day wake up 12-hour, 5-hour, 10. That is not healthy. Like in any game, whatever the game is, whether if there's a Burnout or not. Thing. Yeah, like I've been feeling a lot better. I mean, I do want to play games the entire day, just like quit my job, whatever, just play games. But I also feel better ever since I haven't been playing several hours a day, because I get to do like the chores, laundry, whatever. And when I do those things that I'm supposed to be doing, I actually feel better than just playing games for several hours and then going like, oh god, I had so much to do. I haven't done those. So, yeah, I guess. Hold on. I have to, because I can't. Oh, I went robotic again. That's the. God, I don't know what's happening. It might be the. Now, the more I talk, the more it will make you guys laugh.
Yep, it'll just make the GIF even better.
Oh God. Well, I don't know how to fix it because I might need new cables. Yeah, this is you guys will have to bear with it. At least the stream itself is fine. I don't know why Discord is doing this to me. They don't. I guess I didn't sacrifice enough guars. That is definitely the problem.
Leave those guars alone.
I just gotta kill like 50 more guars. That's it. That until the robotic voice goes away. I will kill guars with my robotic voice. Just imagine Robocop shooting guars on a full killing spree.
That's just monstrous.
You brought this upon yourself with the cult of Guar. Well, I mean, you guys will have to bear with it, but I'll just keep reading.
Oh yeah, I can still understand you. It's
so Cheryl Sanders, I try a different focus when I hit Burnout. I'm currently pursuing the Angler achievements, which I hadn't tried for before. Trying a new character with a new backstory helps too. Honestly, that is the one thing I don't understand. How does the Angler achievement help anybody with the Burnout? If anything, Angler achievement is the main cause of the Burnout. How does that help? How do you...
Okay.
What kind of patience do you people have?
So this is... I can vouch for this. I can totally vouch for this when I was going for my Master Angler originally. Because since I've gotten Master Angler, I have also cleared every DLC Angler achievement as well. I voluntarily do this, even... just not part of the big Granddaddy Master Angler. So there are a couple things that you can do. You want to watch something on Netflix? You fish while you do it. It's just a nice space out way, and it gives your hand something to do if you're twitchy. Podcasts are another great thing. It's really good when you're just doing something else, but you're fidgety. That's how I got myself Master Angler, pretty much. So it's almost like using the game for something other than just playing the game itself. If you just stare at the screen and you're like, man, time to fish, then I can see that being a huge problem. But I don't suggest anybody do that ever.
No. I need to...
Don't do that.
I've heard that recently, too. Someone, I think it was on Twitter, said, fishing... take a different angle, try fishing. And I hate fishing, especially like New Life came around, and I dread New Life because I know New Life, it pigeonholes you into fishing.
Yeah.
Which I got away with only having to do it once, and I got all the event tickets I needed with only having to do it once. But I think I need to tackle that because I'm a firm believer of when people come in and say, oh, ESO doesn't have enough content, we need more content. I'm the first person to say, have you done every quest in the game? And I only say that because I have. Okay, you want more content? Finish every quest. I don't want to sound like a pompous jerk when I say that, but there's just so many hours of quests in the game now that there's plenty of content for you to keep you busy.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing, ESO's side quests aren't like other games where they just tell you, okay, bring me 10 pineapples.
They're good. They have good
Kill
stories.
5 rats because of reasons. ESO's side quests aren't like that. Like, some side quests that you find in the middle of nowhere that you would just ignore normally, they have such a deep background and story and Easter eggs. You're like, wait, how is this not main story? Like, come on.
Yeah.
So ESO side quests worth it.
I'll admit it. Like, I'm an emotional dude. I wear my emotions on my sleeve, okay? And I'll be the first to tell you, there are some side quests in ESO that I've teared up, like legit, like choked up on, where I'm like, why isn't this a main story? Because this is such an emotional story where I feel for this. Like, I want to cry right now because this story is so good. And it's just a side quest. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
I mean, I guess a lot of people ignore the side quests. I ignore them because I'm impatient. That's my separate issue. But a lot of people, I guess, ignore the side quests in ESO because they've been playing, I don't know, like Dragon Age, for example. Dragon Age side quests, they're terrible. Or the Elder Scrolls single-player games, not all of them, but some of them are just really, really boring and terrible. Most RPG side quests... Thankfully, I have not played Redguard yet.
Oh, you should. You'll love Clavigus Vile, let me tell you.
Oh my, that voice.
Lotus is
Probably the worst.
Podcast.
It's the worst. Look it up on YouTube and you'll understand why. There's a specific video. Just look.
Yes.
Go on YouTube and search Clavigus Vile Redguard, and it'll show a video from his questline where you'll be like, okay, yeah, wow, I don't need to play this at all. It's so bad.
The other one you can look up, because there's two of them that are so horrific, they're noteworthy. Just type in Elder Scrolls Redguard Rasmo, and you'll just get one soundbite. I believe Mike from Elder Scrolls Off the Record from years and years ago, he made it his ringtone, and it's just the worst sound ever. It almost doesn't sound like a person. It's so obnoxious.
But it's you know what a lot of people don't like. What I like about Elder Scrolls Redguard is it's in the same era as Elder Scrolls Online.
Oh, really?
It's in the second era.
Yep,
it's
it's
several
toward the end of
years.
it.
Yeah, it's towards the end of the second era. Tiber Septim has already come into power, but it's before Tiber Septim ends the second era and declares the beginning of the third era.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yep.
I wonder, since Tiber Septim, didn't he come from Skyrim?
That's up for debate, but
Yeah.
most people will claim he came from Skyrim, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And we're in the second era.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
Wait,
wonder
man, if
if
that-
No,
there's...
we are too far away from Tiber Septim's birth.
We'd have a little time crunch if that happens.
Yeah.
But, oh, man, that would... Oh, my lord.
But
Not
I mean,
with
if
him
my
taking
character
over.
Go into chaos.
if my
But,
character
like-
holds baby Talos in his arms, I'll be like, nice.
Like a cameo. You know?
just a baby
Not-
Talos, like, you're gonna be a god one day.
Just cradling him. I love you.
This child will become
Like-
everything Skyrim.
Like, not necessarily like him cleaning things up in Cyrodiil or anything, but if they wanted to completely revamp PvP, that would be a way to do it. But maybe just like a little cameo of Talos, like young Talos, who's just doing his Talos thing
Doing his
wherever
little Talos
wherever
thing.
he is in Skyrim.
Just becoming a
I think that would be
divine,
fun.
smacking elves. The usual.
You know, typical Saturday.
So, Rock and Chris.
Rock fan Chris.
There we go. Thank you.
There it is.
I wasn't reading the tag, but I was trying to read the title, and it's just,
Yeah, the name is spelt very different than the
Yeah.
tag. Because of the capitalization. The capitalization makes that real easy to read.
that makes a lot more sense. Yeah. Anytime I start to feel burnout, I ignore all the things I should be doing, like events and dailies. I then focus on only the thing that I know will bring me joy and relaxation. At some point, I am ready for the other stuff again when I'm able to enjoy it again. I guess this makes a lot of sense too, because ESO have insane amounts of dailies and events. Like they never stop. So this makes a lot of sense. I mean, I haven't been doing dailies or events for the last couple years, I think, so I'm safe on this part. But it's definitely too many events. I can't even keep up, and I do a podcast about it. Shimada says, weirdly no, Elder Scrolls Online is one thing I never burned out on just because of how different everything feels. Solo questing is very different to Cyrodiil, which is also very different to Battlegrounds, etc., etc. That also makes sense.
That's fair. Yeah, no, there is so many different ways to play the game. Different things. You know, it caters to all audiences, and
Yep.
I'm more of the storyline. Like with World of Warcraft, I played through the storyline. With EverQuest, as hard as it was to navigate through the story there, I was able to do it, which that actually had a really good story. It was just really brutal, just because it was it was a game in the 90s, an MMO in the 90s that looked like it was worse graphics than Doom. So, but it was so enthralling, and the story was so great. But if story's not your thing and PvP's your thing, ESO's got it. It's got something for everybody.
I mean, I do definitely miss Cyrodiil PvP, but the performance issues has been kind of off-putting on there. But you know, 2020, a lot of improvements. So if Cyrodiil turns into like a smooth sailing experience, then that is definitely one thing that I'll just hop back into just for that specific experience. Also, I might need a new GPU because when 50 or 100 people clash into each other, my GPU decides like, nah, I'm not gonna, and things go wrong. Also, here's the one I least agree with, or rather most disagree with. Roll a New Tune by B. Jester.
So,
not for me. So not
that's
for
not
me.
for me either, and that is, I think, the most common way that people battle Burnout, actually.
Yes, yes. We are not right in the head when it comes to playing this game.
No, you and I have
Lotus.
issues.
Stargold also with a like contradicting strategy. Grinding for event rewards or leveling an evolved when there's an experience buff are usually causes... Oh no, that was right. Okay, never mind. I was reading it wrong. I agree with this. Grinding for event rewards or leveling an evolved when there's an experience buff are usually causes of burnout for me. I thought it was about to say is how I battle with it, but whenever it gets a bit stressful, I just do other activities that I don't do on a daily basis, like fishing, decorating, PvP, till regular game life resumes. Decorating is actually, like, even when I'm super burned out of ESO, I still go to my houses, because I love the housing in this game, and I love the houses I decorated, so I just chill in them, like, spend an hour just doing whatever, and log off again. I don't count that as specifically playing ESO, because I'm just idly standing and looking at like what I made. I guess it's more admiring than playing the game, but...
You know what I find that I've been really enjoying lately, which is what I log in to do for like 2-3 hours. So, you know what the Addictive Memory lore books are?
Yeah.
Everybody knows what those are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I have the add-on, the lore books add-on, that once you collect all the Mages Guild lore books, you can track all the Addictive Memory lore books. And so I've been going through all the zones and trying to collect all of them, and there's a lot.
Yeah.
And it's actually become really fun, because then you have to, it brings you into like old dungeons, and then, you know, dungeons or delves that aren't, you know, delves proper, but they were just specific delves for a quest that you never go to for any other reason for than that quest, but you go back to get that lore book, and it's really cool. You get to re-experience some old places you haven't been to in a long time, and that's become very fun.
And if you read them as well, that's a lore overload. Like a lot of reading material there.
Oh, there's so much reading material.
Oh, okay.
Lore books aren't just the lusty Argonian maid.
That reading was incredible, by the way.
Yes. Ranger reads, that was quite lovely.
I was trying to stay in character the whole time, but I couldn't.
You know, if Promethean...
I lost my shit at the end.
Yup. It's
When Promethean comes back, we gotta bring Ranger back for a duo reading of the Last Argonian Maid.
Oh, man.
So bad.
Yes.
That would be amazing.
See, that would be a popular clip.
Uh-huh. It sure would.
So final two. Leanne says, I burnt out on the game as I was playing on my own, which is never fun. Recently, I have had a lot of people become interested in grouping up, so I've decided to jump back on it. Solo play, some people really prefer solo play over group play. I guess I enjoy both. But I'm curious, like, did anything... was there any incentive for grouping up, like a new content or whatever?
Not really, no.
No, not really.
No.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since you've kind of needed to do that for much of anything. It's more of an optional thing.
Well, I guess dragons, you don't really need to group, but
Yeah, it's just...
dragons and like new world bosses, they really require a large number of people. So I guess that also counts. And
I mean, it does. Yeah, it doesn't so much encourage grouping up, but it encourages group play.
Yeah. And
you know
honestly,
what I mean?
that's been something I really wanted in ESO, like a legitly difficult world boss. And Dragons really did deliver that, because I haven't survived a dragon fight without dying yet. Like, I get at least killed once, which annoys the hell out of me. I gotta be able to take on a dragon with my tank. But so far, I do get one shot every now and then.
So, you know what, one thing I do notice is in Northern and Southern Elsewhere Zone chat, there's the conversation always comes up, can you solo a dragon? And there's always one or two people that say yes. But I've never seen a single YouTube video or never heard a single account of anyone being able to solo one of those dragons.
Yeah. So
but people always claim it's possible, but I want to see proof. And I've looked on YouTube, and I can't find it. And I can't find anywhere where anyone talks about, I soloed this dragon and Elsewhere.
So that's kind of one of the things, actually, that you bring that up, which I do find interesting, because maybe down the line, when population in both Northern and Southern Elsewhere might drop a little bit, I have never encountered a dragon for more than like a minute that did not involve several other people. Even a small squad is still like, there's at least 5 to 10 people here. But like some of the other things, it's like I'm sure there is a way to do it, because I've soloed some rather bizarre things on my tank, but
excuse me.
Mainly the thing with those is I never run into a situation where I need to solo anything until it's kind of like dated quote unquote content. Like what was it? The Murkmire boss that summons those just hordes of undead constantly by the grave stakes. That was one I was on, I don't know, at like 4 in the morning, because I got up early to take the dog out, and then I was like, I'm awake, my wife's not up yet, I don't have to go to work yet. I was like, all right, whatever. And I soloed that thing, because who on PS4 is awake at 4 a.m. happening to do this boss? 4 bosses. So I'm like, okay, I've got an opportunity to try this. It took a while, I did it or whatever. So it's like, I'm sure that will be a thing that maybe down the line we'll see a little more common or something. But also those things I would assume are a bit more involved, I guess, than just a common world boss.
Yeah.
I mean, the most, I guess, difficult part is they have a lot of mechanics that will kill you one shot. So one mistake and they reset because you are the only person there. When in a group, if half the group dies, doesn't matter, because the rest of the group, as long as they're alive, the boss doesn't reset, the dragon doesn't reset. But when you are soloing it, just one tiny mistake, you are dead, and you have to start from scratch, hitting it again for God knows how many million health that is, because I never checked, because I don't do DPS at all anyway. But it is definitely a tough task. And yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, because it was to test it, part of the testing was, you know, the 12 of us that went out there, is they're like, all right, build, because the way they have it set up, you can build your tune how you want to build it, how you normally play, whatever, you know, max it out as best you can, because we want to throw you against these dragons, these world boss dragons. So the 12 of us, you know, maxed out our characters as best we could. You know, it was me, Kyle, Katie, Kevduit, Wohler, I'm drawing a blank, Dots.
I think Zynode.
Brain farts. Zynode was there. Shimmer, Miss Biz, Elsanzo, Janice earlier from in chat, he was there, and then missing one person. But anyway, so the 12 of us, we spent, you know, a good 30 minutes building our characters and went up against these dragons, and it was a face roll, and that was 12 of us. And I've never gone up against the dragon in base game with I mean, it was probably 20 plus every time I've done it.
Yeah.
In the game. Now,
also, I think it was
T it was almost impossible.
The 12th person, if I remember correctly.
What's that?
I think the 12th person may have been T. Kaji.
Yes, you're right. T. Yep.
I remember because I remember the pictures with her emote as her. I was like, she was there.
Yeah, we put her emote over her face. Yes. Yeah, that was
I mean, honestly,
yeah, she was the 12th person, and it was really hard for us. Like, I think maybe we downed them once, but with 12 of us, it was a struggle. And then when we ran Sunspire too, and I remember one of the funniest parts is we all died, and Wohler, who is renowned for his tanking skills, ended up tanking the dragon after all of us wiped except for him. And he was standing in I think it's the fire boss in Sunspire. Basically drops fire down on the entire pad, and he was in the middle of it, and his tanking builds are so good, his health wasn't even going down. It was just tanking this thing like a boss, while the 11 of us who were dead laying in the sea of fire were just cheering him on in the room. It was a good time.
See, that's the tanking level that I would love to get on, but I haven't had much chance.
He takes it to the next level. It's crazy.
Yeah. I haven't had much chance to tank trials because it's quite difficult to get 12 people together. So I'm just trying to focus on 4-man dungeons instead. Also, thank you everyone who is joining us at this nearing 3 hours of the episode from Ninja.
I was gonna say,
you have arrived at our peak sleep deprivation point.
Yeah. One of our all-time longest podcasts.
I mean, we haven't even got the Tales yet.
Luckily, I don't think there are that many in the grand scheme of things. We're steadily getting in the direction of,
So actually, yeah, I mean, I don't have Tales, if that wasn't obvious.
Sorry, just saw what Ninja said.
Yeah, we missed the first part. Can we start over?
Let's start over. For Ninja, let's start over, everybody.
So
all right, welcome, travelers.
Welcome.
Another 3 hours, and 10 minutes in, I'll just be rambling about Escape from Tarkov, probably.
Yup.
Why did I lose the loot? How do I mod this M4 in Tamriel? Can I shoot dragons with armor-piercing rounds? And at that point, anything is possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, for Tales, since you are our special friend, not friend, well, friend as well, but guest. See, it all, my brain just broke down. Thank you.
It's happening.
Ranger, what have you done? What have you been up to in ESO lately, and what have you done in the last week or any? Oh, am I robotic again? The GIF is back.
No, actually, you sound great. It's just you were stuttering, so I put the robot back in me. All right, so what have I been doing the last week in ESO?
Well, this is your first Tales. What have you done the last 5 years?
That also works.
I know, right?
Ninja mentioned restarting. We'll just cover the last 5 years of gameplay real quick.
So, I'll just say what my main squeeze is with ESO. And it's going through every quest and soaking up the story and reading the dialogue. And now I will admit, on my main, when I went through everything, I did every quest, and I read all the dialogue with the Dominion, and with the Covenant, and with every other DLC and chapter. What I will admit is when I was so burnt out with doing quests by the time I got to the Pact, is I just hit enter. I did all the quests, but I just hit E through all the dialogue choices, so I skipped all the dialogue. Yeah.
Right in my heart.
I know. So now, what I've been doing recently, since I've been back from my break, is on my alt, my Templar alt, who is EP, I'm going through, and I started in, Bleak Rock, and I'm going through the Ebonheart Pact storyline. I'm actually reading and listening to the quest line because I haven't actually truly experienced it. Yes, I've done the quest, but I haven't listened to the dialogue and actually enjoyed the story. because I think when you're AD, that the EP quests are your Cadwell's gold.
I think so. Yeah, they
so you've already. Yeah, so by the time you get to Cadwell's gold, you're pretty burnt out on quests. So that's why I was just like, I just want to do them. I'm a completionist. I just want to say, hey, I did them. But now I'm actually going through, so I'm playing on my alt now. My PvP alt, which I think if some of you remember on Twitter, I actually accidentally deleted him.
Oh god,
I saw that.
Yes, he had all of my PvP achievements. His ranking he's my highest because he's my stamina Templar. I had his rank was super high in the Alliance war rankings, and what I do is when I create my characters, I make them all look identical, and they have similar names because it's the same tune, if that makes any sense to you. So they all have the same variation of the same name, and they look like when I do like the character creation, all the sliders and everything are identical. So all my tunes look the same with similar names. So I was going through because I was cleaning up my my character list because I was like, I don't need these, and really, it just brings me more anxiety. The more characters I have to juggle, the more anxiety I have. So I was like, all right, I'm going to clean up the ones I don't need. And then not thinking I was deleting Tune A, I deleted Tune B, and it was the one I needed, and I was heartbroken.
That is tragic.
So it was. I was panicking for but luckily, the people at ZOS were able to hook me up within 48 hours, and
oh nice.
I got him back. But it was I was in panic mode for a minute because that is a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, especially for me who hates PvP. But the reason why is I want the PvP furnishings. The furnishings that you can only get through PvP, like you can get like a trebuchet to decorate your house with, a battering ram, ballista, flags, oil, the burning oil pots and stuff. It's those you can only get through your ranking in PvP. So that's what I've been ranking up for.
And the Elder Scroll itself is my favorite one.
I'll never get
what
that.
Do you need? What do you need to get that?
49, I think.
You need to be maxed out in your Alliance ranking.
Yeah, 49 and 50. Yeah.
You got to be the Grand Overlord, which is super hard.
So that is 50. Okay, I couldn't remember whether it was 49 right before you get Grand Overlord, or okay, so it's when you hit 50. I didn't remember.
Yeah, that's when you get the decoy Elder Scroll.
Yes, my fake one.
I think I'm at something 20 in Alliance rank, but anything beyond that is just, I don't know. I gotta be playing a lot of PvP. Like all my game time.
It's a time sink.
Oh yeah, it's just. I mean, if you're good, you get points faster. But
even if you got points at a perfect rate.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm just diligent, and although it's the most shunned thing for Cyrodiil PvP, I love Zergs. I love Zerg fights.
Oh yeah. Well, here's my thing, and since we're on the topic, this is my thing. I mean, it's medieval warfare.
Yes.
Okay, so what does it make sense when you go in with a group of 3 or 4 guys? It doesn't make sense. Medieval warfare is army versus army, Zerg versus Zerg, clashing in the middle of a field.
Yes.
And just complete chaos ensuing. That is what it is supposed to be, and that's what this type of the 3 Alliance, realm versus realm versus realm was designed to be. Because this is kind of the second iteration of this type of PvP, because if you guys have ever heard of a game called Dark Age of Camelot, you ever heard of that game?
Oh,
yes. I've heard of it.
Jealous'
favorite
MMORPG,
so Dark Age of Camelot is an MMO. It's still live. It's an MMO. It's loosely based off Arthurian legends. King Arthur and all that stuff, and the Round Table, and they also have realm versus realm PvP, where there's 3 realms, and it's realm versus realm versus realm. Ironically, a lot of the developers from that now are developers in Elder Scrolls Online.
Right,
specifically Brian Wheeler. He used to work on Dark Age, and I think Fyroy used to too.
Yes, Netfire was in Dark Age of Camelot.
Yeah, so I mean, this type of PvP is, and I say it all the time, it's not meant. Cyrodiil is not meant for small scale PvP.
No.
It was intended for large scale, but the small scale PvPers always cry, well, you don't favor small scale. Well, you're right, because that's not what it's built for.
But then that was why I loved that they added Battlegrounds. It's a different flavor of PvP, where because piggybacking off that is, if you want to prove your build / skill / whatever is better than somebody else's, you duel, because they added dueling, or you go into BGs and you do small scale fights. When you want absolute chaos, and I know I'm in the minority on this, but it's again something that's how it seems like it was designed. When people are concerned about balance in Cyrodiil, not PvP as a whole, because Battlegrounds, I think it's a different thing. You want a balance to it, so things. Cyrodiil itself is not meant to be balanced, and the fact that you get the Emperorship buff is proof that it is not meant to be balanced. I have never felt more like I'm cheating at a video game than when I was just like, oh, I'm just an invincible god, like, now that I'm emperor. Like, it's not fair. Like, but it's not designed to be fair. That's not the purpose of it.
And now I add on Volendrung, like...
Oh my god, yeah, Volendrung fights, like, those are hilarious. Like, I've actually yet to grab Volendrung. I've been with groups. I've never been the one to grab it yet. But it's hilarious, because when I mean, it's not as effective as you would hope against the emperor himself, but you can level walls of a castle.
Oh, yeah, just tear
it's
through
goofy. Them. It's supposed to be. It's just big, ridiculous. I always say it's basically what I picture when I used to watch Braveheart. And I'm like, oh, cool, it's that, only with magic spells instead of so many limbs flying off. Like, I get it. Okay, cool. Like... And I like that for what it is. If I want to actually try to pretend I'm good, which is not a thing I try to do very often, I'll play Battlegrounds.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something and I completely forgot. I think I'm starting to do the dreaming of thing.
Micro naps.
Are the drones invading? Because you did this last time we talked about Cyrodiil.
Yeah, last time basically what happened was, I think Pixie was talking about raising the dead with necromancy skills.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just heard raising, and then I came to my senses, and what I had in my mind as a memory was Pixie talking about drones. I still don't know what I was like. I don't know. It was just within the span of 10-15 seconds, I dreamt of stuff.
Yep, telling you.
So, yeah, it happens.
Holy.
We are at the time. In my defense, it is 10 a.m.
Yeah, I was going to say, what time
is
it your time? 10 a.m.?
Solid. Yeah, if my blinders were on, this room would be... Well, it looks like it's a gloomy day outside. I don't know, but I can't even see because... But, yeah. What else, Ranger? Do you got anything else you want to add into that?
Yeah, Skyrim belongs to the Imperials.
Correct.
I will never let you add anything to that again.
I'm just saying.
Instant regret.
Just being real.
Yeah.
Just being real.
What about you, Pixie?
Mine's pretty short and sweet. I've just been relaxing and enjoying New Life, and I just before the podcast, I got my Crystal Frost skin, so I'm super excited to throw that. So I have an Arkhaniir tank, and she's a warden, so she does lots of ice stuff, so I'm putting that skin on her, and then I have the Ice Astronaut Wolf mount, and then the Bear Cub Ice Atro pet, and so I have all frozen stuff over there now, so I'm really excited about that. I'm really happy I finally got that one. That was one that I never got back on console, and then last year I switched over in the middle of New Life to PC, and so I didn't have enough time to get all of those writs, and I didn't have anybody leveled in crafting or anything like that, or any resources, so I was just waiting for this year, and I finally got it, and I'm super happy.
What does the writs do?
Yay!
So there's the New Life writs, and it varies between crafting like 1 common wash tub to like 12 military stretchers. And so it's just make sure you have lots of your crafting materials. I dumped all of my money into crafting materials because I was too lazy to go farm it.
Okay.
And yeah.
I was going to say, if you want to make money, sell your heartwood? Yeah, heartwood.
Yeah.
Sell that heartwood. People are
Really?
chomping at the bit for that stuff. Yep.
Heartwood and Regulus I spent so
Ah.
much money on.
Yep, because people need those for the New Life writs and the New Life, Deep Winter charity writs that
Yeah.
you can get the skull pieces from.
I should log in and
Yep.
see how much I have, because I am not gonna do any furnishing in near future, so I can just
sell that.
I'll
dark
never make my
inventory.
own furnishing.
Yeah, you'll make some bank then if you sell that stuff off.
Yeah.
In before I don't have any on the reserve.
5 pieces of heartwood.
I am rich enough to teleport.
Can we 1 fast travel, please?
What about you, Lotus? What have you been up to?
So mine is also pretty simplistic. I've been playing, I guess, in terms of Burnout, I've been whittling my way through the random side quests in the final area of my gold content, which is Reaper's March. But I'm not really... I love that section, but it is winter, and I don't want to play a place that looks like summer right now. So I have not had the draw because, I don't know, for some reason that's like a thing I do, is the setting I like to play matching. So I've been playing Elder Scrolls V a decent bit, and last time I had mentioned the Thieves Guild. Well, I've cleared that, so I've moved on to the Dark Brotherhood. But the only thing, when we were discussing map design, I guess you'd call it,
Right.
how the map's a little peculiar before, when we were talking about Skyrim and where Windhelm was positioned and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I had made reference to the fact that I was going to go check that out since I'm playing Skyrim, and I did. And so if you leave, obviously you kind of run out of map if you're playing ESO and you try to go up above Windhelm. There's the mountain range that connects to the back, which is totally like it is in Skyrim. But then you can obviously loop around more in Skyrim. And it's kind of funny. I did not remember exactly what was behind Windhelm. Mm-hmm. But if you kind of meander back past where Windhelm is in Skyrim itself, that's where the Shrine of Azura is. In Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. So there's actually places of note above it, just straight above it, as opposed to above and to the side, which we were discussing would be where the college could be and stuff like that. So I'm still curious how they'll adjust stuff when that comes. If that portion of the map is addressed. I mean, if it's not, then they don't care, 'cause it's not addressed. So what does it matter? But I'm curious just to see what they'll do. From, it's a weird statement to say, but from a cartography standpoint, like, what are they gonna do with that? Because there's actually stuff of note other than just mountain range or plains and snow. I kind of forgot that the Shrine of Azura was up there until I went back there.
So, can I jump in on this?
Yes, please do. Actually,
okay. So before I was here, I was in Kyle's stream, which I do often. I sit with Kyle while he streams in his voice chat, and someone in his chat brought up, that they're upset of the placement of Winterhold and Windhelm on the Skyrim map doesn't match up with the ESO map, and I was like, okay, well. I explained the difference in, different cartographers are going to map out the region differently. But I got curious. I was like, wait a minute. So I went back to the old Elder Scrolls Arena map.
Yes.
If you look at the Elder Scrolls Arena map, it is more closely mapped out to our Elder Scrolls Online map
than it is to
Skyrim. Skyrim is the oddball.
Interesting.
So if you look at Arena and Elder Scrolls Online, it has Windhelm and Winterhold kind of almost parallel on the map.
As opposed to above. Okay.
And then Skyrim comes in. So this is two games where the maps are almost identical, and then Skyrim has Winterhold almost above Windhelm.
Yeah, it's much more northerly.
So it was this person in his chat, and I can't remember the friend's name, but I said, in my opinion, Skyrim's wrong because there's two games with maps established that are more close together than Skyrim's map.
Well, so
or the Red Mountain eruption just shifted the.
Well, I mean, there is a substantial portion of time that goes by. Like, there's still some stuff that I'll be curious to see, which, ironically, actually, man, you want to talk about segues that I'm going to really draw attention to just because we didn't plan this? That was a sweet segue because I totally started the Elder Scrolls Arena. Based on...
did you? Really?
So, shout out to Photon on Twitter. For helping me get this thing running, because
I remember last time we talked, you weren't running yet.
Nope. And so on my own, I got it running in a minimized screen without sound and a crap frame rate. And I'm like, well, this is going to make something difficult way more difficult. But thanks to Photon, he's actually been playing Daggerfall recently. And I was like, okay, buddy, question for you. How do you make this be a game? Because I can't get them to work. And on his recommendation, use Good Old Games. Because if you get that version, which is cheap, it just seems to work.
It just works.
It just works.
It just works.
So I haven't done much with it. I literally made my character and was goofing around in the first dungeon because I was so mesmerized that it was actually working. But I have started it. So it took a little while to get going, and hopefully I don't run into any more snags and this just keeps working like I intend for it to keep working. But
you need to do screenshots like you did with Shadowkey.
I will, and I'm also due to people. So I did a poll on this a while ago on the Tales Twitter of what game do people want me to go to next. One of the crappy phone games. What is it? Dawnstar or Stormhold? I have emulators for both of those. And then I had Arena, because I won't play Daggerfall before I play Arena. I need to do 1 and 2. I've already played them out of order enough. Or should I play Battlespire? And the winning vote was Arena, because so many people want me to also play Daggerfall because they actually like Daggerfall. So Gallisner, for example, and stuff.
Yep.
So,
of course.
Yeah, of course. So I was like, all right, well, if that wins, that will be the next game that I do. So I'm going to plan on doing screenshots, and if I can make it run, I also plan on streaming it, just so that people can see parts of it. So fingers crossed I don't run into any huge disasters. But yeah, I've at least got it up and running. I am going with a Red Guard. What the hell is it called in that game? Because you have to pick a class. I'm a Red Guard warrior, I think is what I am. I did not look up a guide for any of this, so I'm kind of guessing. Hopefully,
is it Arena or Daggerfall? One of them you can't be an Imperial, or is it both?
You cannot be. I know you can't be an Imperial in Arena. I'm not sure you can do it in Daggerfall either. But also, Khajiits aren't cats in Arena, which is weird.
Well,
they're people with red hair.
It's a species of Khajiit.
It's a species that I became like. That's just it. They wrote it in that it's like.
Yeah.
And I actually really like that, but it's funny because in game, it's just like, oh, you're just a generic person with red hair is what they look like. And because
one of the disappointing factors of Elsewhere, a lot of people talk about is that type of Khajiit was not involved.
Yes,
included.
And they make reference to it's like, in game, the way they phrase it is something like, it's along the lines of like they're descended from cat-based ancestors, but no longer have the majority of their like physical traits or whatever. And then, like you said, going forward, it's like, oh, yeah, this is I guess it's still a fur stock, even though they're lacking in fur, but still.
But they had tails too, right?
They do have a
think
tail,
so.
or at least it looks like they do in the graphic. Cause you,
Yeah, no, they had a tail, but they're mostly human features with a tail.
yeah, and then they
Kind
make
of like
reference to the fact that they
the
like are prone to
new movie
tattooing.
Cats. Like, that's what they look like.
Yeah, yes. But
Taylor Swift, like, that's what we're going with.
they, so yeah, I went with a Red Guard warrior just because the way they describe them and how they work in other games. I'm really hoping they didn't bend the rules of that like race to new things, because otherwise I totally like if they end up being super magically inclined in that game, I'm probably hosed. But I'm just going based on how they normally work, based on the series.
With their sword play and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, that's kind of what I want to do. So, yeah, that's how I kickstarted it. The designing of your character is very funny. I think there's like 4 faces or something like that, and that's it. That's your cosmetics. It's like, pick one of these 4 faces. But yeah, I'm actually pretty excited to try it now that it's at least working. So,
well, I am expecting many screenshots.
Yes, so I will do
because I think
Twitter adventures
when you were putting out the Shadow Key screenshots, that was amazing.
So many people were
But
just
wasn't
like,
that-
I don't even know what's happening.
Do you have an N-Gage, or were you just doing that on an emulator?
I have an N-Gage.
Okay.
I bought an
That's what I
N-Gage
thought.
literally for that. So that's the thing is, when I first joined the show, I had just finished Red Guard because there's something wrong with me, and
Absolutely,
and I was like, all right, let's keep this train rolling. I'll do Shadow Key, and I remember thinking this game has a lot of spelling errors and it runs just terribly. And then my laptop died, and I got a new one, and I was like, does anybody know where you can get an emulator for this? And everybody's like, that game can't be emulated. It's some weird Nokia code that causes these problems. I was like, no, I was playing it. Like, I know it can. Like, I was playing it, and I have never for once found what I was playing because I can't find anything. I'm like, oh, did I like stumble into the dark web or something? Like, where this exists? Because
Oh god.
I can't find any way to emulate that game. So I was like, all right, well then I'll buy an N-Gage, whatever. So that was what I did instead.
That's crazy.
Yeah, to be fair, when I played it on the N-Gage, I'm not sure what I was playing because there were not that many spelling errors. It was like, maybe that was like some knockoff version
It was like
that somebody...
bootlegged, yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, there are a few spelling errors in the game, and it's not even so much spelling errors, so much as just really poorly written dialogue.
Yeah.
But it was, like, from what I remembered originally, they were straight up like, you spelt book wrong. It's like book.
Oh
It's
my
like, okay.
God.
And I'm like,
That's
I'm not
crazy.
running into that. I was like, did somebody just do a crap job of like recreating
Was
it or
it-
something?
Was it Shadow Key, or I think it was Storm? Which one do you go to Orsinium? I think it's Stormhold.
Stormhold, I believe.
Okay.
Those, because they're JavaScript games, apparently can be emulated. I have
yeah.
both of the emulator codes. They are the funniest things I've ever seen, because if you look at the space on them, you look at games now and it's like a patch for ESO. It's like, oh, it's just a 2 gig, whatever. I believe Stormhold is 146 kilobytes. Like the whole game.
That's
So,
just crazy to think about.
I don't know what I'm in for with that, but
So the controls on Arena, is it hard? Because that's what I've heard.
so the big thing from when I was messing with it, it's kind of like playing. Did you ever play Hexen? It's kind of like a Doom clone, except instead of guns, you have like you put your hand forward and like shoot stuff, or you just swing like a mace.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, but a little less actiony, run around like a lunatic, and more you swing, we calculated, you missed. He swung, he calculates, he killed you in one shot because you're trash. And I'm like, damn it. Like, so the difficulty seems like it'll be interesting. The big problem that I had to start with, which is why I switched over to the good old games version, is the frame rate just running it originally was I mean, I thought Shadowkey had a bad frame rate, and then I tried doing that, and I was like, oh, dang. Good God. So, but the good old game version seems slightly better, at least for the most part. So hopefully I'll be a little more involved with it next time, and I can have a better update other than just I made a character, and hopefully I didn't screw it up, because I don't know what I'm putting points into except my best guess. Like, strength gives you hit points. So I was like, well, what does endurance do? I don't even understand what's happening. Like, so. Well,
I'm excited.
We'll find out next time if I really botched it and I'm having a miserable time or not. Yeah. Indeed.
Yeah, I can't wait to see this, because it's not what I'm going to go back and play myself. Yeah, so I'm just going to live vicariously through you.
It's, I'll take that for the greater good. I'll play the antique ones for the greater good.
I mean, we might be playing...
that's pretty much it for me.
Yeah, that reminds me, we might be playing Morrowind, but multiplayer.
Oh, yes.
I don't know how's that's gonna go, but once we try that, then I'll have some weird tales. Because I mean, I don't know what I'm in for, but I guess I'll see. I will have to set it up.
I loved you playing Morrowind before I joined the show.
It was good for a while, and then it was like, why am I doing this to myself? This is insane. I mean, it was about 60 hours of pure fun. I might restart a playthrough. I don't know. I would have to mentally prepare for it first.
Yes.
Do you do a modded or just vanilla?
I think I had minimal mods. I don't remember what I had.
You can mod it to be almost on par with Oblivion.
Yeah, but I wanted the vanilla experience, basically, because I had never played it before.
Yeah, true.
So I thought, okay, let's experience it as it is. As it is not that good. It's the trying to hit one single bug for 10 minutes straight, just missing everything. Yeah. Painful.
Yeah, the mods I installed brought combat more in line with Oblivion and made it a little less, harsh.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'll probably install like 100% hit mod, so I don't miss constantly trying to hit a static, harmless thing. But yeah, so that, I guess, brings us to the end of the show, because we've been going over... I can't even see. I don't even see. 3 hours, 15 minutes at this point. And it is past 10 a.m. and I've started to sleep. The last 5 minutes, I don't know what you guys talked about. I'm not sure.
I blacked out an hour ago.
Yeah. So
I just keep yawning.
I mean, I think I was yawning, I'm sure. I saw Pixie yawning every now and then. I don't know about the rest. They were either not yawning or hiding it very well.
Yeah, so when we finish, I'm going to make it outside with my dog, and then I'm probably going to fall asleep on the stairs back into the house. Which will just have to push me over the landing.
Yeah. I'm about to crash.
So, Ranger, any last thoughts, and where can people find you?
So, people can find me exclusively on Twitter. It's on Twitter, it's at @casual_ranger. I do not stream anymore. I really don't have intentions on coming back to it. So you can catch all my content. I tweet often, every day. Usually every hour on the hour is what I try to accomplish. And it's mostly 95% Elder Scrolls Online. The other 5% is kind of IRL. I like to, include stuff with my family and stuff like that, But it's mostly Elder Scrolls Online. But yeah, I'm exclusively on Twitter now. I don't think I'll have time for streaming anymore. So it's
95% ESO, 5% IRL, 100% Imperial propaganda.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think I tweeted a picture of my phone lock screen with the Imperial Diamond and what time it was, and I said it's 5:29 Empire Standard Time.
Oh yeah, that.
Sometimes I'll just tweet quirky things like that. So, but yeah, if you guys have Twitter and you want to follow me, it's @casual_ranger, and I'd appreciate that.
It is recommended. everyone.
And if you want to follow our shenanigans in Vegas, I will be pretty much tweeting every day about it. So
I will be so jealous.
I know Lotus and Pixie will be there. So if you want to follow our travels in Vegas, give me a follow. I'll be sure to update very often with that.
I'll be just following what you guys are doing, sulking under a blanket, like. I couldn't get.
We'll make it feel like you're there.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I'll tag you in everything.
Ah, perfect. Yeah, just what I need.
No, but
Pixie,
seriously, thanks for having me, though, guys. I really appreciate it.
Well, this was great. Thanks for taking the time, because what time is it there? Almost 2 a.m. for you too now.
Yeah, it's
gotta be
it's
something
1:30
like
right
that,
now.
yeah.
For me.
It's 2:30 here.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, we finally managed to make everyone sleep deprivated, regardless of the time zone. This is an achievement,
right?
Yeah. Well, this is the perfect time for me because all my 4 kids are asleep.
Oh,
So this is like when you were like 11 p.m. Eastern, I was like, yes.
well, that's
Because if it was any time before, I'd be like, no, hard pass. Like I have 4 demons that'll be awake.
Well, from now on, anytime you want to hop on in, feel free to just
just let us know. This has been a very fun and
awesome.
The number one thing we usually get as a response is, which I've always said prior to having to listen to my own voice on this, so I always say it for other people and just not myself. Long podcasts are great because they make work go by fast. So hope everybody enjoys, because good lord, this is like this is original episodes of Tales long.
Yep.
So,
this is OG length. OG session.
Even edited, this is probably going over 3 hours. So.
I mean, it will be, because we haven't had like 30 minutes of audio destruction and my PC restarting.
I just hope you aren't a robot in the recorded version.
Everyone said it's fine, so I'm hoping it's fine.
Yeah, I was even checking. Chat kept saying that everything's good. So
I mean, if I was robotic this entire duration for the recorded audios, I don't know. It will be. We'll just have to regroup and do this all over again.
Yeah, no, this was just barely took any effort.
You sound great now, dude.
Yeah, no, it's been totally fine for. Ironically, we can actually say it without being dramatic. It's been fine for hours at this point. It was the first hump of hours that it was a little dicey.
Well, it was our token difficulty, I guess. We just lost Pixie.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask Pixie where people can find her, but I don't know if she can speak at the moment.
I think I could do it.
Yeah.
I think I've got this.
Deep
so
cleansing
you can
breaths.
find me. You can find me on Twitch every Thursday night through Saturday night at HyperPixieGaming, and you can find me there on Instagram as well. And then on Twitter, I'm HyperPixieGames because character limits don't like me very much.
And what about you, Lotus?
I'm LotusOfDoom here on Twitch, on Twitter, in game, you name it. It's probably me if it's Lotus of Doom. So I'll most likely on the various things you'll be seeing some of my new stuff going in with Arena. So hopefully you enjoy very odd old game pictures, because you're probably getting some of those. But yeah, feel free to hit me up wherever if you have any questions or just want to chat.
Well, there you have it, folks. Our amazing cast this evening. And hopefully we'll be regrouping once again with all these awesome people, getting sleep deprived and talking about all the random Elder Scrolls stuff. As for me, you can find me anywhere that is Arkhaniir, Arkhanir. It's a made up name, so when you type it, the only thing that come up should be me. Although I'm not guaranteeing it, but it's a made up name, so it should work. It should work like that. But yeah, thank you all so much for joining on this episode of Tales of Tamriel, and you can follow everything we do over at dungeoncrawlernetwork.com. There you can find links to all of our social media, including Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Be sure to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/dungeoncrawlernetwork if you want to help support the show, and consider leaving us a review on iTunes. so people know that we are a real podcast, that we say real words, and sometimes it matters. Thank you all so much once again, and we will see you next week. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.
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 When Akatosh slew Lorcan, he ripped his heart right out. He hurled it across Tamriel, and the heart was heard to shout, red diamond, the heart and soul of men. Red diamond, protect us till the end. The laughing heart sprayed blood afar, a gout on Cyrodiil, and like a dart shot to its mark down in an alien well. Magic effused the Lorcan blood to crystal red and strong. Then wild elves cut and polished it down to chimel at a ball. Red diamond, the heart and soul of men. Red diamond, protect us till the end. When elves lost Nirn to men, Akatosh gave the stone to Saint Alesh in token of her right to sit the throne. Red diamond, the heart and soul of men. Red diamond, protect us till the end. Red diamond, protect us till the end.